the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. A Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the fifth pick in the NBA draft, Ace Bailey is expected to report to the Utah Jazz on Saturday. That's coming from the team. He's going to join the team before they head out for Las Vegas and for Summer League. Sounds like he'll be there for a press conference on Sunday. Monday will be his first practice. Bailey went through a bit of an abnormal draft process when he opted to not visit and work out with a single NBA team. He is the only American to do this. Blazers first-round pick Yong Hansen was introduced to the media today in his introductory press conference. Hansen was a first-team All-CBA selection last year in the Chinese Basketball Association. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts.
Just talking with Will Ortner. Hey, there he is. Just talking with Will Ortner about his karate kick to close the control room door, right just before he went on air.
Ah, yes.
He did his update. He started the open, and then I watched him go over, and he called it his Sparta kick, and it was very much out of 300. He goes two legs out and goes, whoa, and he just kicks the door. I'm like, dude, I saw that. He's like, yeah, I still got that Sparta kick.
Or he's got that aggression in him, that Ortner aggression.
That
Few
dog.
got it like me, man. Not watched
I'm late
yet.
because the stupid boss.
Of course.
The damn boss. You know, he takes over. He's been here for like 7 days, and all of a sudden he's running stuff. He's pulling me aside and dressing me down and yelling at me. And
What'd you do this time?
we can't talk about it.
No.
There's lawsuits and there's lawyers and
Oh.
whatever, but threats were made, and he put his leg up on a table and he was, he big time to me.
You think the advocates will get involved?
It was one of those things. Oh, believe me. I had to tell him. I'm like, hey, back off. You're getting aggressive right now. Woo. In fact, I was at the Crystal Ballroom. I went and saw Social Distortion. So they're not the Ohio State.
Was that last night?
No.
Oh, this is some time ago.
That was like a week ago.
Okay.
It was like was it this week? No, it was last week. Boy, now I'm searching. Was it this week? It's Tuesday. This week or last week?
You did see them
I did see them recently.
at some point in time.
And if you see the Crystal's split down the middle, right?
Mhm.
There's a drinking side and a non-drinking side,
Yeah.
and there's a little avenue right down the middle. And you want to talk about like power, like pulling a power play. So I went with the BTJ, and I went with my daughter, and then my buddy, my liquor buddy. So my daughter is only 20, so she had to be on the non-drinking side.
Okay.
So we get there a little bit early, and I asked my buddy, I said, hey, do you want to get a beer? And he's like, yeah. So I tell the gals, hey, start working your way towards the front, right? And weasel your way up, and then we'll grab some beers, and then at the changeover, we'll go to the front. So we go over, and the lady who looks like she's 12 is doing an ID check, right?
Okay.
To go over onto the bar side. And so she's checking people, that look somewhat reasonable. In what world, again, am I 20-year? I am the world's worst looking 20-year-old.
That's always amazing to me when you go to a place like a 7-Eleven. And I think some of them have places or regulations where you have to scan an ID to sell something, but I go to some that they don't do it. So clearly you don't have to.
There's no scanning of any ID. And
Yeah.
this is so. I mean, what about this says 20? The wrinkles, the crow's feet, the 100% baldness.
You put that gray in your beard?
All the gray that's in my beard, and there's a lot of it. So we go walking over, and she's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I was like,
Excuse me, sir, when you see that ID.
And she goes, yeah, ID. And I looked at her, and I just I smiled, and this is 100% how this went down. I said, really? I said, you need to see my ID. And she hand to God. So my buddy's looking confirm. He's just looking at me. The lady looks right at me and goes, whoa, sir, back up. And I went, what? What? She goes, you're being very aggressive right now. I need you to back up. And I was like, what? I'm nowhere near her.
Consider me backed up.
Yeah, I was like, I put my hands up. I was like, what do you mean? What am I doing? She goes, just give me your ID and back up and de-escalate.
Dude.
And I was like, holy God.
Take it easy.
Yeah, turn this down a notch. I was like, here's my ID. I was just surprised because at this point, when you're 47 and you're bald and gray, most times
It's not much of a problem.
it's no one really asks for my ID anymore. And all I said was, really? And I got the, whoa, sir, I need you to back up right now and de-escalate.
So I
The
have
microaggressions that this lady must face.
I'm on
have-
her side.
I have this notion and interested to see what other industries or people you think this might apply to, but at concerts specifically, you seem to get the most people with a little bit of power taking it the most seriously.
Yeah.
Like and it's almost always like crowd control type people, or sometimes it's like maybe an amusement park type person. But it seems like concerts specifically, they know people can get unruly, so they try to nip that in the bud like right away, and it's a lot.
Well, I'll just tell you, if you're at the Crystal Ballroom and you're trying to go over to grab yourself a ruby, just be aware. There's a gal that looks like she's 12 years old with kind of like a bluish hue hair, and she's not going to put up with any of your
Nice.
nonsense. Whoa, sir, back up. Back up. In case stuff was about to go down, I was about to throw down with my fake ID. You just talk about just a weird Rander Ortner aggression.
I had a fake ID in
I
college.
think she was ready to Sparta kick me at that point.
Probably deserved it.
I guess.
You were questioning her, pushing back. She's in a clear position of authority. How dare you?
I love the question. The question, really?
They need to hire Ortner to moonlight as a Sparta kicker.
I guess.
I used to do that.
Don't ask.
Did you bounce?
No, but so at the Gorge, they used to hire football players to work the front as security for like Watershed, Paradiso, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I worked security at like Harry O's places in Park City when I was in college, and I can assure you that there has never been a security guard that took his duties less seriously than me. I think that's
About as serious as you took your duties as a shuttle driver?
Chevron operator.
Boy, the shuttle operator. That's an all timer. There has never been. There was probably a worse security guard than me.
Do you know that story, Will? The shuttle operator story?
I know the Chevron story, which to me is my favorite.
I don't think I know the
Sukol
Chevron
job
story.
Yeah, I got fired from a Chevron after like 2.5 hours.
Wow. For what?
Yeah. Well, here's the problem is that if you give me a job that I don't care about,
It'll be reflected in your work.
yeah. Well, and you're dealing with like young me. You're dealing,
Sure.
I think now like there's a little maturity
A
there.
little defiant.
Well, I just didn't care. And so I came home one summer and I was going to be home for like a month, right? And so I thought, well, what else am I doing? Like I'll grab a job. And there was a job at the it's still there. There was a Chevron on 164th. But back then it was like I don't know, like what you would call it. Like you were in like a booth. It wasn't really like a full-on mini mart attached to the Chevron.
It was more like a kiosk situation.
A kiosk.
Yeah.
And you could go in and they had a handful of stuff, but after a certain point you had to be buzzed in.
Okay.
Right? So
Yeah.
there was the little window there.
Sure.
And then if you wanted to go in to buy like, whatever, you had to be buzzed in.
Yeah, that's how it is at like my local Fred Meyer. They have a little thing like that where it's not a mart, but it's a little vestibule, a building.
Yes. And so it was my first night there, and my shift was, I think it started at like 10. It was like maybe like a 10 to 6 sort of number. It's overnight.
Sure.
And so I thought to myself, well, how easy is
I'm just
this,
gonna
right?
sit here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put like $50 in my pocket. This is like $19.99 or something.
Yeah, it seems like easy work.
Yeah, it's $50, whatever. I'll just, I'll screw off and play Game Boy or something and whatever, sleep. And so it was the first night, and the guy kind of explains to me what's going on. And so then he like left, and he's like, hey, if you need anything, blah, blah, here's the number to call. Leaves me alone. So by like midnight, there's no one there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there by myself. It's like midnight. You can't come in without me giving you the say-so.
Sure.
And so I sat down on the ground, and it was hot. Like it was a hot summer night, and our AC sucked. So I took off my shirt, my little Chevron shirt.
Nice.
So now I'm on the floor like in a wife beater, no shirt. And you know the magazines that are right behind the counter
Oh boy.
at those places. So
Sure.
I started thumbing through one of those. I used to be a big wife beater guy. And then I started eating like beef. You know, they had the little beef jerky like
Sure.
in the... Yeah, you just
Like in the tub.
in the tub.
They maybe have some tongs. But
Yeah.
You probably pass those over.
So I started eating some beef jerky. And at some point, 1, 2 in the morning, I fell asleep.
Yeah.
I just fell asleep. And I was woken up not by a customer. I was woken up by the boss checking on me on the first night.
Shirt off, jerky in hand,
and like
magazines.
And I think it was like I don't know, like a penthouse or something. That was like,
That's fantastic.
I just woke up and he just was looking at me, and the conversation went something like this: "I'm fired, right?" And the guy said, "Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work out." And then as I was leaving, I said something like, "Am I gonna get paid for the 2 or 3 hours?" And he said, "You can keep the penthouse, and we'll call the jerky even." So I left that Chevron shift.
Sounds like a good deal.
I left that thing at like 3 in the morning with a Penthouse magazine, probably like 8 sticks of beef jerky, and then I went
your
home.
shirt hanging over your shoulder.
No, I left the shirt there. I left the Chevron shirt there, so I just left in my wife beater. And then I couldn't go home because I couldn't tell my parents like I got fired. So I drove around for like 3 more hours, and then came home and then lied about like my job. So each night at like 10 o'clock, I just left and like, I don't know, I did whatever. I did whatever.
You just, well, no, it's another souk night.
I roamed around and did whatever. So that may have been in my crowning achievement of my employment, from bowling alleys to I worked at a bowling alley, the Chevron, the shuttle driver at the airport. I mean, a lot of weird rando jobs.
Mm-hmm.
That by far is my crowning achievement.
So I have also been fired from a job from indirect heat-related circumstances. I think I've told you guys I worked at a hat shop, haberdashery. It was part of a chain. The flagship store was in North Beach in San Francisco. It was right across the street from my apartment, so super easy for me to just walk over, slang some fedoras, and then go back home again. And I was doing this while I was working part-time TV work, but it's San Francisco, so there's no AC in almost every unit because it's cold there most of the year.
Sure.
And basically the only real dress code for this place was you got to wear one of the hats, and like it should look like part of your look. But they had like graffiti artists baseball hats, and they had the flat caps, and they had fedoras, and they had like Panama style. So there's kind of something for everybody. And I would wear like a flat cap with the kind of thing I'm wearing right now, just like but we got a new manager in. Like when I was a year and a half into this job, and I was far and away the best salesperson there. And this guy comes in and he wants us dressing like we're in a barbershop quartet. He's like, "We've got the hats." He's like, "I want to see suspenders. I want to see arm cuffs." And I'm like, "No, like we're not doing that." But then he couldn't enforce that specifically. He couldn't make people go out and get barbershop costumes, and so it just had to be within a realm of something reasonable. And there were pants and no sandals rule that was an edict out there.
Sure.
And then he was out of town, and it was a rare 90-degree San Francisco day with no air conditioning, and I wore a polo, like a pastel color polo, and like flat front khaki shorts.
Not gonna work.
And like docksiders. And I got fired for it. Because the assistant manager told on me and said, he wasn't wearing pants when you were gone. And I'm like, I dressed like I was going to the country club. How is this a problem? I'm still selling your hats, man.
No, Buck,
nope, that was the end of that.
You scofflaw.
Yeah.
The shuttle driver I never got fired from.
You just quit that one?
I left. I ended up going back. I never got caught doing that, but when the Portland airport was undergoing construction, they were building the parking garage. Again, 90s, 25 plus years ago. I would drive people from the extended lot all the way to the terminal. It was there was like an underground tunnel that you would take. And I thought it was ridiculous because it wasn't that long a walk. And so if you were like an elderly person, whatever, I'd give you a ride. But if you were just some dip-ass that I didn't, whatever, I had a little sign that you could put on the shuttle that said like gone, like on break or be back in 5 minutes or whatever. And So when I didn't feel like it, I would again just take off my Portland Airport shirt, and then I would sit on the chair by the shuttle and put the little "Be back in 5" sign, and then I would just sit by the shuttle and just
As if
I was waiting for the shuttle, and people would come by and be like, "Hey, where's the shuttle driver?"
He's gone. I don't know.
I'm like, I don't know. And occasionally someone would like try to wait me out, and I'm like, "You fool! I'll wait there for like
the longer you wait here, the more sure we're going to be that he ain't coming back.
yeah." And then occasionally someone would come up and they would look sweet or they'd look nice or whatever, and they'd be like, "Is the shuttle?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "I was just on a break." And I'd put the little Portland, the PDX airport shirt back on, and I would, I'd drive the shuttle. But yeah, like that was one of those that, I chose how much I work. And let's just say there was some extended breaks.
Yeah.
But
As one does.
I did have my eye on the shuttle the entire
It
time.
was right there in front of you.
Yeah, I'd go get like some Panda Express and just sit in front of the shuttle.
I love that all these jobs also kind of revolve slightly around food and your snacks that you can have on the
Dude,
job.
I will tell you, I was not. And looking back on it, it's not. It's a terrible way to go through life. Like that's just like
But
I can apologize for my jackass youth.
You got to go through some experiences like that, though.
Boy,
Everyone
I just
does.
was not what you. No one should have hired me from the ages of like 17 to like 22. Under no circumstances should you have hired me at your job.
And for a while, they didn't have to. You just had to be good at hitting people.
That yes, and I think that was the thing. I always knew that those jobs were temporary.
Yeah.
So same thing. Like, and I never took a real I would if I had a real job, I wouldn't have done that.
Sure.
But for God's sakes, I'm working at a bowling alley.
You're just trying to make a couple bucks until next football season.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you're clean. I worked at Norvell as a janitor, and I drove an airport shuttle, and I just
All the cool gigs.
Yeah, I worked delivering newspaper. Oh, you want to talk about
Oh,
a bad
no.
one?
Yeah, that's rough.
Hey, we didn't get our newspaper. Yeah, well, we'll see if you get it tomorrow too.
My dad
Maybe
likes
you
to
will,
brag.
maybe you won't.
That's
Hardest job, by the way, I've ever done.
That's how my dad brags. That's how he got his first Schwinn 10-speed. Was from his paper route.
Dude, as an adult delivering newspapers, dude, that job sucks.
You just drive around in your car, right? At like 4 a.m.
Oh, it's
3 a.m.?
terrible.
Yeah.
And that was back when people got newspapers. You had to like bundle them yourself and drive around. It was before GPS. And dude, that thing freaking sucked. That job was awful. I may have just walked away from that one.
Well, we do have a sports show today, and leading the charge, Yong Hansen. He's
That's
descended
right.
upon Portland.
The
He's
Yong
met
Bong.
the media. The Yong Bong is here, and we will talk about him as well as a bunch of other Blazer stuff coming up next. Primetime 1080 The Fan.
Thanks to our
surveillance and computer records, and how many first jobs did I have? First off, I had a lot of first jobs. And it is true. Like, none of the stuff that I did as a young adult, you could do today. Because it's all on camera.
Yeah.
None of that stuff was filmed.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't slack. You couldn't do the.
No.
I'm just going to sit on the bench for a while. They're
No.
like, no, we see the camera in the bus. Like you left. What are you doing?
We used to break into our high school in the middle of the night and go like roam it, and like we would play basketball and like
That still happens.
What?
That still happens.
Well, there's cameras now. Like,
Yeah, they can catch kids if they
you
want
can
to.
catch.
We
kids.
did it too.
You know,
I'm
it's
just
like
saying.
everything now is on camera. Like, you just can't. I tell that to my kids all the time. If whatever it is you're doing, be prepared to be filmed.
Yep.
There is a ring camera somewhere. There is a bank camera somewhere. Something is being pointed at you at all times. And while I do think that leads to hopefully some better decisions, it's kind of sad that you have to live your life under this constant, oh my God, Big Brother's watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's shift gears here for a second because it's a big day. It's a day for the Yongbong.
That's right.
Introduced to Portland and to the Portland media today, the number 16 overall pick out of China.
Who will wear number 16?
He will wear number 16, and he's obviously going to be a work in progress. And one of the bigger things that they said right out of the gate is that the language barrier is going to be an issue. He's going to have a translator. But I think based on just the reaction I was seeing on social media, people are excited about this guy, whether it's for silly answers, simple answers. But we have a couple of those. And so let's open it up here. Here's Yong's opening statement, including him wanting to eventually ditch the translator.
首先感谢各位媒体朋友，辛苦到来。然后就是教练刚才就是对我的夸奖，就是非常开心，非常激动。然后被选中来到这里，然后争取下一次我来开发布会的时候把旁边这位给踢走。
Firstly, thank you for everyone coming here today, and then he feels so excited to come here, be one of the Blazers, and also Coach Chansey is like our probation, making him feel good. Thank you, Chansey. And this is the next time, try to kick him out, and he can be here by himself.
So the translator says, yeah, he wants to kick me out of here. And so clearly seems like he wants to get up to speed as quickly as possible. Like, people are going to have to be patient, but already saying the right things out of the gate.
Sure.
And then additionally, we learned about his off-court interests. This, just the English part of that answer.
Sometimes I sleep, all time sleep, and I like play PS5, and I like eat.
He'll
fit right in.
Well, he's a 19-year-old kid, and by the way, good for him for making the attempt.
Yes,
right,
100%.
Like, by all accounts, like you said, here is someone, because like when a lot of baseball players come over and they just they have no desire to.
They kind of punt on it. They just say like that part of it's going to be a headache for me.
Yeah.
It's just easier if I don't bother.
Yes.
And there are plenty of guys, and you know this. There are plenty of guys like in baseball that can speak English well enough to do those interviews if they wanted to, but they're like, I don't want.
Well,
I just don't. You don't want stuff getting lost in translation.
Well, you're going to get a lot of times you get made fun of.
Yep.
Right. You don't want to sound dumb, and you don't want to be, like you said, lost in translation. So I think it's really awesome that at 20 years old that already he's coming over saying, look, we're going to ditch this translator eventually. And he had the balls to give an answer in English. And yes, it's going to be in very simple terms. And he's a 19-year-old, well, 20-year-old kid, right?
Yep.
He likes to eat.
Just turned 20.
He likes to sleep.
And play PS5.
And he likes the PS5. So that's...
Sounds like Sook.
Yes. This will be... I'm telling you, if he does anything, the city of Portland is going to absolutely love this guy.
Also read that, let's see, his name means a vast forest, apropos for such a large man.
Okay.
And also he likes the rain. So that'll work here as well. And
perfect.
And he did give us one more answer in English himself about his dreams of being an NBA player.
15 years old, I come in Qingdao junior team. He told me you can play in CBA. So I every day work out.
Basically, he's saying that he he formed his dreams at age 15
Well,
when
when
he joined the Chinese Basketball Association.
In China, what they do, and this happens in all sports, at a certain point, when they go and take, sometimes it's younger for like Olympic athletes. Sometimes they do this for like 8, 9-year-old kids. They have like basically like school games. And if you show a certain acumen, then you get pulled out of regular school and you get sent.
You go to the academy.
You go to the academies.
Yep.
And so at 15 years old, I mean, here's a guy that, even though he's only 20, basically has been a professional since he was about
15 years old. Yeah.
And that's why a lot of times people like the international players is
Right.
they're a little more mature. They haven't been, I hate to say this, but AAU'd up.
Right. No, 100%. Instead of having dunk contests and showcase, they're being pushed through academies that focus on fundamentals and team play and even like national team principles and stuff like that.
And
so
by the way, the fact that he is answering questions in
speaks a lot of him.
Look, and that's not that bad English, by the way.
No.
And I just think that's awesome. And I hope, like as someone said on here, Americans should never make fun of others' language we can't speak.
That's exactly right.
You go spend 6 months trying to learn Mandarin and then go over and try to give answers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just love the fact that he is at his first press conference. I mean, sometimes it is years before like a Japanese baseball player will attempt to speak English at a press conference. And this is my man on day one out here being like, no, man, we're going to let this rip.
And he's 20. That's maturity.
Love
It's cool to see. So Chance was there at the presser as well. As far as the lost in translation stuff, here's what Chance had to say about coaching through a translator.
Obviously, it's a little unique, having to kind of coach through the translator, but I anticipate that won't happen for too long. He's really determined to understand the language, be able to speak the language. Obviously, you can see him trying and doing a really good job already trying to answer the questions, but basketball language is kind of universal. It will probably sound really fast to him as it's coming at him, but we'll be spending a lot of time on it. There'll be some adjustments that you have to make naturally, in film sessions and huddles and things of that nature, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's not going to be a hard time. I don't know if you've ever had, if you've ever done something, whether a sport or activity where you don't speak the language. It's very easy and it's very quick to pick up. Like in my jiu-jitsu class, we have actually a lot of Brazilians that speak only Portuguese, and we have visiting professors that don't speak English very well.
Sure.
And that sports language is, like you said, it's universal. Will it happen fast? Absolutely. But that is not going to be 6 months from now. Any sort of basketball communication is not going to be a problem.
Well, and when you're in a huddle, there's only so many things that it's going to be,
Yes.
Messaging wise.
Yes.
I mean, like there's a couple things that it could be, and you'll be able to figure that out.
Yes.
He's not going to be asking you what your brunch order is.
No, this will be a non-factor in a short period of time.
And the Blazers certainly not the first team to deal with this either. So they've clearly got a plan in place. But then, additionally, Chauncey was asked about his expectations for Yong in his rookie season.
I just see him just continuing to get better and better and better and learn our game, learn our system, offensively and defensively, learning the language. It's just so much development that needs to happen. But I will feel very comfortable putting him in the game right now. He's that good, So to me, this is not like a project type of situation. This guy's ready to go, But he's in, a crowded room. DA, DC, and Rob, Hansen, WAP. So this will be an incredible educational year for him. And when he does get a chance to play, I think everybody will be really impressed.
Yeah, can I also say kudos to them for not putting training wheels on this thing?
Yeah.
Look, I understand he's 20 years old. Do you know how many guys in the draft are 20 years old?
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are not a 46th pick. You were told that this was a guy that you could not pass up.
That's why you take him there when everyone else called it a reach, because you think he can do it now.
You also thought that he would have been your guy last year, right? I expect him to play minutes. I understand. Yes, be patient. It's a young player, but I've never understood this idea of you draft someone 16 that's basically been a pro since 15, that is an all-star in another league, and then we come in and it's like, well, we can't expect anything. No, I love that Chauncey's like, hey, no, we expect him to play.
But it's interesting.
Not 30 minutes or
Sure.
whatever, but yes, to me, if I had my way, Ayton and Rob Williams would be gone. And your future should be
Those young guys.
these young guys. The future of that position is Donovan Clingan, and you got Young. So
and then you got Duop Reith in there
exactly,
as a backup
yeah,
option.
whatever. So, dude, let the youngs play and see what you got. I'll be bummed if this is an 8 minutes a day sort of thing. Get him out there.
Let's talk about this on the other side of the break. Is what should be the best plan for him? They're saying he's ready to go right now, but developmentally, how many appearances do we really expect out of him? We'll talk about that and also the abundance of centers and what that could mean for Blazers' future moves as well. You're listening to Primetime, 1080 The Fan. Here's Ortner with SportsCenter.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the 5th pick in the NBA draft, Ace Bailey is expected to report to the Utah Jazz over the weekend before the team heads out to Las Vegas for Summer League. There were some worries that Bailey would not report to the team after not being wanted to be taken by Utah. Bailey went through an abnormal draft process where he opted not to visit and work out with a single NBA team. He is the only American to do this. Blazers first-round pick Yong Hansen was introduced to the media today in his introductory press conference. Hansen was a first-team All-CBA selection last year in the Chinese Basketball Association. Over in the MLB, Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh announced today that he will be entering the MLB Home Run Derby on July 14th. Right now, Raleigh leads the majors with 32 home runs. He did indicate that he expects to hit both lefty and righty in the Home Run Derby. Speaking of the Mariners, they start their series with the Rangers tonight in Arlington. Logan Gilbert on the mound for the M's. Nathan Eovaldi for the Rangers. First pitch scheduled for 5:05. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
More, please. Golf in the Northwest with Jason
Welcome back to Primetime. I guess we failed to announce off the top. This is a Ropless edition. You've probably figured that out by now. But Rob out dealing with some family stuff today. We think he'll be back next week. So you get an SOB edition today. Suk, Ortner, and Buckley. Will is back there once again.
It's a Yong Bong edition, man. This is all about the Yonger.
It is all about the Yong Bong.
And we've been told now, hey, he's ready to go.
So the first thing I thought of when I heard that is how often you reference Joe Cronin saying that Scoot was ready to go.
This is the only part of this press conference, and it didn't go on, and I was impressed with the young man, but it's a press conference.
Yeah, there's not much you're going to get from it. I thought what Chauncey said there, though, about him being ready and them not being afraid to play him now.
It scares the living hell out of me because it's the one thing that time and time again, this organization, and this isn't just a Chauncey and Joe Cronin thing, and this goes all the way back. I'll go back to Zach Collins. I'll go back to Luke Babbitt. The amount of times, and I get why you say this crap. I do. Because when you draft someone, you believe in him. But, and I don't know because I mean, obviously, we're not listening to press conferences from around the country outside of maybe like a Cooper Flag thing. So, maybe the Utah Jazz are having the same thing. But boy, we love to put expectations on our own players. And to me, if you're drafting a kid at 16 that's clearly a flyer that most people thought was a second-round pick, I just don't understand the benefit unless you just are that confident to go out and say that, no, dude, we expect him to play. We expect him to contribute. We're not going to bring him on slowly. This kid is ready to play now. That's not quite generational talent. Scoot Henderson, he's not going to struggle at all.
Yeah.
And Zach Collins.
They're different statements for sure.
I did think it was interesting that
it's a little bold.
They did not, and they never have. They've never shied away from, kind of, I said, Iron Balls McGinty this thing and throw him out there on the table and be like, no, he's ready to go. So when you tell me that, and this is why I stick by what you say, if you tell me that someone's ready to go,
and then he plays 8 games this season and spends the rest of it with the remix,
then I think that's horse crap.
Yep.
When you tell me that Scoot's ready to go, and then a month later you're telling me how patient I need to be, why? You told me,
and no one made you do that.
Yes, these are your words. So I've never understood the puffing out your chest, but here we kind of ended up doing it again. So if I am to believe the Portland Trailblazers, I have been told that this is a playoff team, right? This is not a rebuild. This is, according to Chauncey, this isn't a play-in team. This is a playoff team.
Yeah, baby.
Right? And that your 16 pick is coming to play, that he is going to be a rotational player and he's going to be ready to hit the ground running. And those are your words. Those aren't my expectations. I base my expectations largely off of what you tell me. So that's the only thing that about this press conference where I was a little like, yeah, well, it's bold. There's a big difference between being 19 and playing in the Chinese Basketball Association and yamming on dudes that are 6'1", and then coming to the NBA and being 7'2", and now being expected to guard and defend people and the athleticism. If there's one question I think that the Yong Bong has, it's, does his athleticism,
can he move well enough to do this right now?
Can he move well enough? Because we know he's got good hands. We know he's got the vision. We know he can pass. We know he can shoot a little bit.
But keeping up with the NBA bigs is different than keeping up with the Chinese League bigs.
Yes, and that's what I want to see. But according to the Blazers, this isn't a problem, and they trust him, and he can play right now.
So I was listening to my favorite morning show yesterday, Dirt and Sprague, and they were having just an interesting discussion, I think, of now, from what you've heard about Yong, from what you've heard from the team and from analysts, as a fan, what kind of numbers, appearance-wise, would you be pleased with? Because clearly people are saying he needs polish, so you expect there's going to be some time in the G League, mostly so he can play a ton of minutes. Yeah. But so how much, as a fan, if you've been kind of promised this great game and readiness, are you expecting to see him this year?
Yeah, that I guess I'll have to wait and see. One, again, what we do with the roster.
Yeah.
Or I said what they do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to make any sort of
you
grandiose
Joe
decisions.
A call, right?
But, I mean, as of right now, you would assume that he is your 4th or 5th best center. Like, whatever you think of DeAndre Ayton.
He's a better pro center than Yong right now. No question.
DeAndre Ayton's really good.
Yeah.
Like, you can think that dude's a jackass. That guy
might be true.
That guy's a 20-10 guy.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, DeAndre Ayton is
when he cares, he's great.
Yes, DeAndre Ayton is a difference maker. And then Donovan Clingan is a defensive force right now. Can't play more than 20 minutes without having a heart attack. But the dude's an NBA champion.
He's certainly ahead of Yong.
And he had a solid rookie year. When Robert Williams is healthy, which is never, but when he is healthy, Robert Williams anchored an NBA champion.
Yeah.
So, and then you get into Duop Reith, and okay, so
And
maybe
he's played more than Yong, but he's not the pedigree.
So at best, right now, this is clearly your fourth or fifth best player at that position.
Yeah.
He's not playing the four. He's got one position to play on the floor. So,
and if you're fourth, you got no business just sitting up here on Portland's bench.
No. So if this is going to be the roster until the trade deadline, then no, Yong needs to be in the G League and need to be playing every night. And if he's in the G League, he needs to dominate. Because no offense to the G League, but if you've seen some of the numbers the dude's put up, like Bronny for a while there was putting up 20 plus in the G League, and the dude can't sniff a bucket in the NBA. So if he goes down to the G League, I expect him to be a dominant player. And then maybe as the trade deadline gets closer and we move out Ayton and Williams, I would assume, then I would hope that Yong is able to be a guy that can come in and give you, 15 plus minutes a night. For all of Clingan stuff, his big conditioning thing, the Chinese Basketball Association plays more games, and Yong plays more minutes than Clingan ever did in college. Now I get there's a difference between, the athleticism and having the bigs lean on you, but this is a guy supposedly that the gas tank should be able to handle. Should be able to handle 15 plus minutes a night. So I guess that's my thing is CBA or the G League and really show something, and then when the roster spots open up, I would expect him to come in and be a primary backup to Donovan Clingan and, give you 15 plus minutes a night, and then whatever sort of production that brings you.
Well, Portland made a lot of fans surprised with their pick of Yong Hansen. One of the bigger surprises of draft night, the surprise on Ace Bailey's face when the Utah Jazz drafted him. He didn't go on the plane to Utah after the draft. They think he's going to be here this weekend. The curious case of Ace Bailey coming up next. Primetime, 1080 The Fan.
The Portland
Trailblazers selected Yong Hansen from the cheap seats on, what was that, Tuesday night? Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? No, it was Wednesday because Tuesday was golf tournament.
Oh.
And so it was
that's
Wednesday
right.
night.
And then we did, yesterday was the big exciting culmination of day 2 of the NBA draft where no one but Isaac Rupp apparently watched.
That's right. And then, but we had probably the biggest storyline of the night and has continued to be a big storyline for the rest of the NBA through today and will be, I guess, through the weekend is Ace Bailey. So we talked about him on draft night and how weird everything was on the front end of the combine and workout stuff. He was not working out for anybody. His agent told teams either the night before the draft or the day of the draft, told 2 teams in the top 5, do not draft us. Reportedly, one of those teams was the Utah Jazz, and Danny Ainge don't play like that. So Danny Ainge said, no, you're the player we want. We're going to pick you.
Yep.
So they picked 2 players. I think they also picked
the kid out of Florida.
Out of Florida, yep.
Walter
Clayton Jr.
Walter Clayton Jr., who was, the
great scorer. I mean, he was the star of the national
NCAA
champion.
tournament. And by the way, he's already in Salt Lake. And
so they were supposed to be on a plane together to Salt Lake, and Ace Bailey and his agent, his camp said no. So they didn't go, and of course, people have questions for Ainge and the Jazz about that, and they said, no, he's going to be Utah Jazz, and if he doesn't want to be Utah Jazz, then he's not going to be playing basketball. This isn't he doesn't like it, we're going to, placate him by trading him to a destination he wants. This is our pick. This is who we wanted at 5. You're going to come play basketball here. And them having called his bluff, reports now indicate he'll be there on Saturday.
Well, here's the thing. By all accounts, when you're reading through this is not an Ace Bailey thing. This is an Omar Cooper thing.
Yeah.
So Omar Cooper apparently is his agent.
Mm-hmm.
And he has no other NBA players. He has a checkered past with the law. He's one of these guys that seems to be in trouble throughout his whole life. He's getting terrible advice. That seems to be the general consensus, is that anyone that has been around Ace Bailey says that he's a really good kid, said that he's really engaging. He's a hard worker. He's immature. But who at 18 and already worth a couple $1 million isn't immature? I mean, that's just, I think that goes without saying. But this is kind of the crappy part about this NIL world that we live in now. I mean, Ace Bailey 2 years ago was kind of put up there with Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper, and was like, hey, any
of these 3 guys could be the number 1 pick.
Could be the number 1 pick.
Yep.
So you imagine I'm assuming since this kid was probably 12 or 13 years old, someone has had the hand in the pocket of Ace Bailey and the family. And apparently this Omar Cooper guy, a lot of these agents that get these kids, these aren't high-level agents.
Mm-hmm.
These are kind of like he's not certified with the NBA, right? He's
the father of a former Auburn player, Sharif Cooper, who was drafted by the Hawks in 2002, but plays overseas. So he was an agent for his kid 3 years ago.
And that's it. And somehow he got his hooks into Ace Bailey. And so far we've been told that
sounds like he played on his AAU team. It says here that Bailey played on Cooper's Athletes of Tomorrow basketball team.
Yes. So how many times, dude, how much money has been funneled into this dip S's pocket?
Bailey moved from Tennessee to Georgia in high school to be closer to Cooper and his team.
So again, I just asked the question, how much money has been funneled into this dip S's pocket? And here he is just absolutely butchering this kid's future. And look, Ace Bailey is going to end up in Salt Lake, and it's a, it's traditionally, by the way, the Utah Jazz, like of all the, I get maybe you not wanting to go to Salt Lake because you don't want to be in Utah. That's fine. But if you're talking about franchises, like he wanted to go to Washington, you're telling me the Washington Wizards are a better organization?
That's where
than Utah
good careers
Jazz?
go to die.
So, like, Charlotte or Atlanta.
This is a great landing spot if you're a young prospect.
Yes, there's talent there.
Yep.
It's not like Utah is just this wasteland of talent. And it's a passionate fan base. It's a major city. It hosted the Olympics, for God's sakes. It's going to do it again. Salt Lake is actually a decent city if you give it a crack. It's not just Mormons.
No, it's
right?
fun.
It's a decent city.
It's fun. It's clean.
With one of the best front offices, the executives that you can have in Danny Ainge's kid. And so, like, you're cutting off your own nose here.
Yep.
And so you refuse to work. You canceled your workout with the Philadelphia 76ers because you didn't want to go to Philadelphia. It's been confirmed. You told the team in the top 5, do not draft me. I'm not coming. And by the way, maybe that's the Utah Jazz. We don't know. But that came out and was like, don't draft me. Refusing to work out for multiple teams.
The audacity of telling the team with the 3rd pick you won't work out, and maybe the teams with the 4th and 5th pick that you don't want to be there, is crazy.
Yeah, it's all I can say is it seems like, and this is just the general consensus, is that this Ace Bailey deserves better than what this Cooper dude is doing for him. And this is the problem, that the AAU system has always been corrupt. And these weasels that get their hands in these kids' pockets when they're 12, 13, 14 years old. And this has nothing to do with the kid. This is all about his agent and his mentor and whatever. And I would hope that someone eventually gets a hold of Ace Bailey and says, dude, I understand that this is the guy that you've been with for years. I promise you, your life is going to be better off and your career is going to be better off if you cut ties. But that's easier said than done, because this is the guy that's been with him. But what this Omar Cooper is doing for Ace Bailey right now is a grand total of jackass. And it's like what LeVar Ball did.
Yep.
Right? That just none of that helped his sons.
And he disappeared really
And he
quick.
disappeared
and hopefully
real
that's
quick.
the case here.
And his kids figured it out, right?
Yep.
Eventually his kids figured it out that, dude, my dad is doing nothing to help me. And that is the father. And they said, dude, we're not doing this. We've got this. We're actually going to start surrounding ourselves with real agents and real shoe people and people that can actually help us with our careers. And I do. I feel bad. I feel bad for Ace Bailey. And because for better or worse, this is going to stain him for a long time.
And at least until he sheds it and shows that he's going in another direction.
And this is what Draymond Green said. You know, Draymond Green's like, what are you doing, man? You're coming into this league already with a strike. This is not what you want to do. And meanwhile, your teammate that was drafted in Walter Clayton Jr.
He's there. He's doing it.
Yeah, dude. I saw his press conference. And by the way, he didn't want to be in Utah either. They were saying, like, when he got drafted, you could see his face was a little bummed. And I get it. If you're a young black millionaire, Salt Lake's probably not the place you want to be. I heard Clayton's interview the draft day, because that was, as part of a trade that ended up there. Dude, he was like, he goes, nope. He goes, I'm on a plane tomorrow to Salt Lake. He's like, I'm ready to go.
It's your job.
He's
and you're acting like it.
He's like, let's do this. Meanwhile, I got Ace Bailey. Did you hear his word salad answer?
No, I didn't.
Let me pull it up. When he was his interview was one of the more awkward things about like what he can control. I'll have to pull it up, but it is, dude, it's like.
So while you're pulling it up, I have this question for you, because it does sound like he just needs someone to get in his ear. And I know it's been a long time since you've been in a locker room and around a team, but who is going to be that person? Is it a teammate? Is it someone from the players union? Like, is it someone in a family circle? Like, what is the likelihood that there is someone that's going to come to Ace and be like, dude, you got to mix something up here?
It's going to have to be someone. I don't know who the veteran presence in that locker room is.
Yeah.
I don't know if Markkanen, who's their best player. They're just breaking loose of childhood constraints is going to be really, really tough. Like, there's always this.
Jordan Clarkson's been around the block a bit. Maybe he could be a mentor of sorts.
There is always this idea of, why don't you just cut, let's say, for instance, like you come from a rough neighborhood, right? And the Zach Randolph thing, okay? And then you're like, well, why can't you get rid of those guys when you get to the NBA? And for people that didn't come from much, and that's been your support system, those are the people that kept you safe. Those are the people that had your back. Those are the people that, like, kind of, quote, keep it real.
It's like turning your back on family.
Yes. That is a lot harder to do than that's a lot harder to do than people think.
And a lot of those people have positioned themselves during your development as, maybe to the point that you believe it, as being crucial to your success, your development, your support, and that you need them as much as they need you. And that's often not the case. And so hopefully Bailey does get things straightened out. Want to move over to the Diamond in the next hour of this SOB edition of Primetime. We got a dumper derby coming, and we're going to talk about it next on The Fan.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, Seattle Mariners catcher Cal Raleigh announced today that he's going to be entering the MLB Home Run Derby. That's going to be on July 14th, day before the MLB All-Star Game. Raleigh currently leads the majors with 32 home runs. It does sound like he's going to try and bat on both sides of the plate during the Derby. Speaking of the Mariners, they're going to start their series with the Rangers tonight in Arlington. Logan Gilbert on the mound for the M's. Nathan Eovaldi on the mound for the Rangers. First pitch for that one's going to get underway here in about an hour. Right now, you've got 3 rain delays already in the games that are supposed to be in action. Pirates and Mets, they're not going to be able to get underway for quite a bit. Rain delay right now in Pittsburgh. There's a rain delay as well in Detroit. Tigers and Twins haven't been able to get that one started. In Cincinnati, a lot of rain as well. No Padres and Reds game has started. Hopefully at 4:05, the Yankees and Athletics will be able to buck the trend and get a game underway. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The inside story on the Blazers.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, an SOB edition of Primetime. I'm Ryan Buckley. That is Jason Sakanic. And that guy over there, that's Will Ortner. Hi, guys.
With his hat on backwards, Colin Coward somewhere frowning at you.
You are always furious about it. You and Colin.
I just like to needle him. I found that Ace Bailey quote. So this is the
Yeah, give it
this
to me.
is the quote that he gave on the draft. Like he's standing up there, right? He puts on the weird awkward hat. He's like, eh. And then someone asked him about it. He said, I can control what I can control. They feel how they feel, but my team and me focus on basketball and them doing what they're doing, so it happens. The hell does that mean?
That was like the Isaac quote that he did yesterday. The like, sometimes it be and so it do, or something like
Oscar Gamble. Sometimes they think it be like that.
that. So it do, or
so
it
do, or whatever. But like
that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, like of all the things, but my team and me focusing on basketball and them doing what they're doing, so it happened.
So
What?
is he talking about the team as in the Jazz, the franchise, or his team of people?
I don't know. So what happens? You don't show up?
I've got you guys. I speak Gen Z.
Yeah,
I'm
Give it
your
to us.
translator. I've
Yes.
got this. So he is upset because he and his team told Utah not to pick him.
Right.
He wanted either to go to Philly or to Washington.
Didn't he not work out for
He
Philly
told
though?
he canceled the workout at Philly.
He wanted to go to Washington. Let's stay there. Gen Z translator, I've got you boys. So what he is trying to say is he could only control what he can control, so he's going to put his best foot forward, but he and his team did not want him to end up in Utah, and he can't control that Utah did not listen to him and his team. You're welcome.
Okay.
I love his,
Okay.
and his agent said there's nothing uncommon about how Ace Bailey's pre-draft process was handled. Because
If
you've
there was
been,
nothing uncommon, it would not have been newsworthy.
'Cause
It was
you-
very newsworthy.
hey, Omar, you've been through so many draft process. Oh, wait, no, you haven't.
No, just that one time with your son.
Just for the love of God, if you are on the verge of being a top 3 or 4 draft pick, do not hire a family member to be your agent. Just don't.
No.
Don't hire your AAU coach. Any agent in America would be more than happy to sign the number 5 draft pick in the NBA, and you went with your AAU coach. Good, smart move, Ace. Way to go, bud. Like, I just hope, that eventually you can put this crap behind, you can move on, because by all accounts he's a good kid. But you do not want to be the story of the draft when this is the story. This is not how you want to start your career. And when everyone from Draymond Green to to Colin Cowherd to Stephen A. Smith, when every single person other than you and your agent are saying, hey man,
This is a bad
this
idea.
is not the way to go. Maybe, just maybe, look in the mirror and this isn't the way to do it.
Well, let's head over to the Diamond, where you can assume that as the league's leader in home runs, Cal Raleigh will be the starter for the American League at catcher in the All-Star game. But we've now found out that he will be participating in the Home Run Derby. So as Will mentioned in his update, it sounds like Cal is going to try to hit from both sides of the plate in the Derby, which
That's kind of fun.
I find interesting.
Yeah.
Also, some cool notes. It's going to be a big-time family affair. Now, he went to Florida State. His dad, I'll look it up. His dad was a college baseball coach, so his dad never coached him growing up, but his dad is now retired, and Cal has a younger brother who's 15, and Cal's dad, Todd, is going to pitch the BP to him for the Derby, and his younger brother, Todd Jr., is going to catch the BP in the Derby. So all three Raleighs are going to be out there for Cal's big Derby day.
That's pretty kick-ass. Who is it? I think, what do we've had this? Bryce Harper's dad, I think, threw to him.
Did Pete Alonso's dad?
I'm trying to remember if the Polar Bears. I think Mike Trout's dad did
Yeah,
it.
I definitely remember Harper's dad because he looks like he's like a jacked fireman dude.
Yeah, so we've had some of these before. That's cool that we got a Dumper family reunion all coming out. I can only imagine how awesome that is to be out there with like your brother or your dad or whatever. That's a cool thing. And Cal Raleigh's a great story. He went from a guy that was hitting a little bit of power and hitting 200 to. I mean, God, if you had to vote right now, is he not the AL MVP?
I mean, everyone's been talking about kind of what Aaron Judge has done over the last year. Like if you go back to the end of last season, but that's not what this award is. And right now, what Cal has done as far as just leading the league in home runs and also what he's meant to his team, like and by the way, he's playing great at catcher too. He's had almost nobody steal on him this year.
Well, he's the best defensive catcher in baseball.
Yeah.
He's the best offensive catcher in baseball by a mile. That's not even a comparison. The only thing that he doesn't have going for him is his team isn't very good.
Yeah, that's right.
If you look at the latest sportsbook odds, it's Aaron Judge. I think Raleigh's at like plus 300. And I don't know if that's because they think that Raleigh's going to fall off because he is a catcher and he's almost broken all of his all-time like single season records already by the halfway point. So maybe there's where some of it is.
Well, and I mean,
but
I guess,
Judge is the favorite.
Judge is hitting 361.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the numbers are pretty close. I mean, 32 to 28 in home runs.
Like his overall production numbers are off the charts.
Yes. I mean, but I do think you have to take into account too that Cal Raleigh is doing this behind the plate and Aaron Judge is not. And one is doing it at one of the hardest places to hit in Major League Baseball and one is not. And I think even Raleigh pointed that out. He said something like, hey, it's this a little bit harder to do it here than it is in the Bronx. But the numbers are fairly similar. 32 and 28, 69 and 63 for home runs and RBI. Raleigh, by the way, better in both categories. But I mean, I guess if you're Judge, what you throw out is 361 versus 275, and you throw out first place versus right now. I don't even know if the Mariners are in the wild. I mean, they're right there at the wild card. I mean, it's back and forth, but
yeah, it's good. What they do the rest of the way, and if they make any moves, maybe what dictates what gets them in or out, or keeps them out.
And Judge has a little better of an OPS, but I mean, you're talking about 1160 versus 1031. I mean, it's and Judge, I guess, with a better WAR, 5.8 versus 4.4. I mean, take your pick. I mean, there's two candidates right now for MVP. One is Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, there's not a
Aaron
third.
Judge.
It's just, it's just those two. And the fact that we're having that conversation about him right now is pretty staggering because he was great last year. Like he won a platinum glove, they call it now, and was ultra productive and was hitting for power from both sides of the plate. But the way he has the leap he's taken this year, like we already knew Aaron Judge was Aaron Judge. Cal Raleigh has had an arrival.
Yeah. I hope he can keep it going. That's my only thing about it's a long
as a
way
catcher. It's hard.
Well, you see all the time, right? We see guys have great starts to the season, and you either or real slow start to the season, then you end up pouring it on, and he catches 140 games. I just think if you're Seattle, this is the last year, and it's tough because he is such a valuable guy behind the plate, and you have this pitching staff, which is the strength, but you got to wonder if this is Cal Raleigh going forward. You can't. Is this the last year you put him full time behind the plate?
The Giants had this exact situation with Buster Posey because he was like a rookie of the year, an MVP, and they started seeing the power numbers decline 4 or 5 years in, and they're like, God, he's an amazing catcher. Like he was a Gold Glove level catcher, but they're like, we just can't afford for him to become like a 265 hitter who has 18 home runs. Like he's lost his value if that's the case. And so he kept catching some, but then played a lot of first base. And
yeah, well, and that was what Mauer moved, and Santana moved, and Buster Posey moved, Biggio moved, right? A couple different times.
Yeah.
Yeah, people kind of forget, but Craig Biggio was a
Catcher before he's a second baseman.
Yeah, and they're like, well, no, it's time to move. So, I don't know if you're Seattle and this is going to be Cal Raleigh where he's giving you 35 plus every year and 100.
You got to keep him fresh.
You got to keep him fresh
because that's too valuable.
Well, and look, can we also admit that it's not like you have like the world's best first baseman,
That's also
or a
true.
DH. I mean, my God.
Mitch Garver's not doing it for you?
The last handful of years, every time I look up, the freaking Mariners DH is hitting like 198. That's maybe move Cal into that spot. Platoon him at first base and telling me that you can't teach him to play first base. Let's go.
What helps for the Mariners too is they have a really highly rated catching prospect. Harry Ford. They just brought him up with the taxi squad. I don't know if that means he'll get to play in this series against Texas, but he's supposed to be like a great next star catcher.
Okay.
And I think that makes it easier to move Raleigh.
Well, old Lukey there is hitting 229 with 3 bombs. So maybe just maybe there's a spot at first base open there, Cal. A little less on your body.
As Mariner fans, and I did a little internet research before the show today because this show is known for nothing if not the award-winning preparation.
Oh, absolutely.
The home run derby curse or lack thereof. We have seen some people, including Julio Rodriguez, have go gangbusters in the derby and then not really be that power hitter afterwards.
Yeah,
Josh Hamilton did it too.
Ruins your swing or whatever.
And I'm not sure that would happen here. I think you have an opportunity to go. It's a fun thing to be a part of. Like Pete Alonso keeps doing it. Plenty of guys have done it. They ran some numbers on this, and basically it showed that 43 out of 74 participants since 2010 have seen a decline, any decline in their production after the Derby. So it almost ends up being a coin flip, whether you do a little bit better or a little bit worse.
Can I also ask, as the season wears on and it's 162 games
Right.
and you take foul balls off the foot, and isn't everyone for the most part just healthier at the start of the season than they are at the end?
And that was the point of the study, that basically, aside from a couple anecdotal people, it doesn't really look like it has any great impact on that.
I would be fascinated for someone to explain to me how someone who is the best in the world at their craft taking, I don't know,
100 swings?
100 swings where you're swinging from your shoes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me that if I took, I don't know, Rory McIlroy, and I say, hey, Roy,
I was just thinking about the golf comparison for this.
I want you to go out and we're going to have this event.
We're going long drive today.
A long drive contest.
Yep.
And you're going to have to swing 60, 70 times as hard as you can. Right? You're going to swing out of your shoes here and, in 25 around and, a couple rounds. You're telling me that ruins Rory? That he can't go back and kind of reset the mechanism and
hey, Steph, I want you to go make as many 3/4 court shots as you can in 2 minutes. And he's like, I don't know, it'll mess up my 3-pointer.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think so.
I never. But again, I'm not a baseball player. I've never hit for average, nor have I ever hit for power. That's one of those that I have a hard time. I have a hard time wrapping my head around. Maybe some idiot that's like a beer league guy, but you're the best in the world. You don't know how to fix your swing. You don't know how to adjust your swing. If that's the case, then you got bigger problems than a home run derby.
We are careening towards in the news, but before we do that, got a couple more NBA nuggets for you. The Blazers acquired more than just Yong Hansen, even though they didn't have draft picks. We'll tell you about who they signed. And additionally, Dylan Brooks' girlfriend might be playing a game of Tendy Fingers.
Yeah.
Next on The Fan. Buried the lead today. It's draft day again.
That's right.
NHL draft going underway, and you know what? They're actually doing something I've never seen before. I always try to give sports coverage credit when they're trying to do something different or innovative or what have you. We always see the execs in the war room on the phones, and then the high-fiving and the hearty backslapping, and then they go and interview the kid on site at the draft. That's always the formula. They're doing something different in the NHL draft where they are bringing the first-round pick. Now he's being interviewed by the reporter on scene, but they brought him up on a Zoom on a big screen with the New York Islanders brass who had the first pick. So there he is talking to his owner, GM, and head coach for the first time. Instead of having that conversation on your cell phone and then saying what you talked to him about, it's there for the world to see.
Well, I'll say this about the NHL. Because they're the fourth of the big four,
They can experiment with
they
stuff.
experiment with stuff. And it's my favorite sport. I love the NHL. And, everything from like what they've done with the All-Star game, doing international competitions and little 3-on-3 mini games, and then the Four Nations Cup that they did last year. I like that the NHL is willing to think outside the box. And then here they are in the draft. Although I don't think anyone's breaking down the hot Matthew Schaefer, the defenseman out of Erie in the OHL. I don't think anyone's breaking that down.
You don't think so?
They did not have a generational talent. I don't think he was I think there was some debate on who would go number one in this year's NHL draft.
Well, back to the Blazers draft. They only had the one selection, Yong Hansen, the Yong Bong, taking Portland by storm today. If you want to go back and listen to the first hour of the show, played some of his sound bites and his willingness to answer in English, even though he had a translator, interpreter there with him, and taking a chance at 20 sounded pretty cool. And Chauncey Billups had some interesting things to say as well, so you can pick that up over on the Odyssey app or on our YouTube stream or wherever you get your podcasts. But the Blazers weren't done there, as is typical with any draft, specifically the NFL and NBA. We see contracts afterwards too, undrafted free agents that sign. And they picked up a kid that we know because he has played a large role in March Madness games and big college games. They added Caleb Love to a two-way contract, the kid out of Arizona.
I did see that. Who, because he played at North Carolina originally and then bumped over. So, I don't know. Again, get ready. He'll have a good... He'll have a good summer league.
He'll go off in summer league, and maybe he sticks, maybe he doesn't. But
no, once he goes off in summer league, then Blazer fan will immediately, he'll become the
franchise guy.
Well, it'll be Torian Green again, right? Oh my goodness, there is no one that loves a name we've heard of coming out of summer league quite like the Blazer faithful.
They also signed Ole Miss guard Sean Padula to an Exhibit 10 contract, and I don't know exactly what that Exhibit 10 contract means.
I don't know either, and I don't.
I think it allows them allows him to like go to training camp and fight for a roster spot, but he's a guy who kind of a gritty guard, and I was talking with Danny about him a little bit before the show.
Of course you were talking to Danny. Let me tell you, Danny had a detailed breakdown on him, huh?
I guess when this kid showed up to his workout, he was like giving it to everybody there. Like he was S-talking everybody, and I guess, and according to Danny, Chauncey was coming out onto the court like stomping around and yelling because this kid was getting in people's faces, and they liked what he brought to the party. So got a little dog there in Sean Padula.
He's Walmart Alex Caruso. That's exactly what he looks like.
That's a good call.
He's from down south.
Yep.
He's a smart player, but he's not like super athletic.
Was he a white guy?
Guess what he is? He's a bald white guy.
I already told you he was gritty.
Yeah.
Smart player.
Yeah.
High IQ.
High basketball IQ. Coach's dream.
Look at the poor man's Alex Caruso. There you go. Gritty white guy talking S. Can't wait. We're going to love him here. God, I could care less about the 13th, 14th, 15th guy. From the Duop Reith to the CJ Ellerbys to Pagula or whatever the hell this kid's name is.
Sean Padula.
Sean, not a Pagula, not a gonna play here. Go away. I don't care. If you become Alex Caruso, then we'll care.
Well, you might care about this. It's come up many times on this show in the last couple weeks. Tendy fingers. The dilemma if your fingers could be eaten as chicken fries, chicken sticks, chicken tenders, but you then cease to lose you lose their ability as a finger if you bite them. We've run through this quite a bit, but now it seems
conundrum. But it's now happening in real life.
It's happening in real life to someone that we know, a former Duck, Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Now a bit of an NBA enigma himself, has filed a restraining order against the mother of his children who threatened to cut off his fingers.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's not good. I will say
I mean, how do you even get to that point?
Well, I mean, hey, man, baby mama drama can be tough for anyone. I just think of all the threats that you could make against someone. Like cutting off someone's fingers.
Painful, threatens your livelihood.
Yeah. Like, how do you get to that? I don't know where they met, but I'm guessing by looking at her, I'm guessing maybe Instagram.
Yeah, you think it was an online thing?
Oh, here it is. Brooks claims that he initially, I like that he says he claims, he initially met her at a Las Vegas nightclub in 2018. And after that, after a brief period of dating, she became pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just, look, first off, Dylan, good for you for filing a restraining order because you don't want your fingers cut off. But when will NBA players figure out the Instagram hots, the Vegas club, stop getting them pregnant? This is bad. It never ends well. Talk to Zion. Talk to Ann Edwards. Stop it. Stop with the Instagram hots.
If you want to look her up,
it doesn't work.
Her name is Heather Andrews.
I'm sure she's a wonderful individual with a very bright future.
The mother of his two children that are 5 and 2. In the filing, Brooks alleged that Andrews made violent threats against him, damaged his property, hacked into his various social media accounts. Among her violent threats, he claimed, is that she would cut off his fingers.
Oh, yeah, I see the text message.
Yeah, he has screenshots of a lot of this stuff. It says that after their second child, she became increasingly more aggressive and threatening. She continued threatening various different ways that she was going to hurt me, either personally, professionally, or both.
Hey, check this out. We got a nice little text message. This is all, by the way, Dylan Brooks did not respond. You want to talk about an impressive text string?
Like when you see the same person texting threats over and over again, what do we got?
11:03 p.m. So we're not quite in the wee hours of the morning,
but we're getting there.
We're getting close to the witching hour. This is from her to him. And then screenshot, I am going to have to hurt you. Okay. Whack bitch, can't ask about your kid. Or the one in my stomach. I'm
guessing she's pregnant at the time.
Pregnant. I'm going to pull up on you. I'm pregnant. I have an excuse. LOL. I will pull up at the gym. I'm done and around. This war, bitch. Just wait. I'll have someone cut each one.
War.
I'll have.
Wordsmith.
I'll have someone cut each one of your blanking little fingers off one by one so you can never play basketball again. LOL. And now I actually understand why people racist. Hey!
Whoa!
Bitch,
what?
You were over there. She dropping that on him. She's starting a race war.
That's on. So, like, I hate you. You're a bad dad. You don't treat me right. Also, now I get why people are racist. What?
By the way,
jeez, that is not a turn I expected.
That is a straight line of text.
No responses from him.
No responses from Brooks.
Really having a conversation with herself there.
Yeah. That's pretty. I mean, it goes. I mean, it goes on. I mean,
what else do we have?
So this next thread, this now moves into the wee hours of the morning. Moving into that effing house because you're going to be at risk living there. I'll that condo up too. I'd change the locks if I were you. I'll send someone after your mom. You tell me that I won't. Dare me. Who knows, that might not be your mom either. LOL. You're both ugly as F, so probably is. Watch your effing back is all I have to say. Don't be naive like you are. Move with a little bit gangster. You know what I'm saying. While you're...
What is she saying? Move with a little bit of gangster?
Move with a little bit of gangster.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying.
Okay.
I don't know.
The Gen Z translator can't even help here.
No. While you're whip in that big body, you better have a piece in the car at all times.
Oh, okay.
If you don't send me money for court, I will literally send the blogs you receipts of you buying her S. She's a prostitute and a felon.
Oh, so now she's accusing him of infidelity with somebody else that he's bought things
prostitute
for.
And a felon.
Okay.
You've been warned. You got about 5 minutes. I'll run with these new receipts too. I'll send it to the latest hose you've been shipping S to. Sucks to be you. I'm gonna post this S on my IG. Do you know how you're gonna look? LOL. Laughing face.
I'm glad she finds it all very funny.
I like if you don't send me money for court.
Yeah.
What? I don't know what court she needs to go to.
She's probably
but
taking him to court and expects him to pay for it.
I don't know. And then there's some
Boy.
photos of her like vandalizing his house.
Nice.
You know.
So she documented her vandalism.
Oh yeah, dude, it goes on.
Excellent.
He has so much. She uses the N-word a bunch, and
God.
yeah, it's a whole thing.
That might be worse than her threatening to cut off the fingers.
Yeah. Like,
I understand the racism now.
yeah.
Jeez.
I like that. It's just some highlights. Besides dumb N-word, you're the most ghetto, trifling, worthless human I've ever met.
God. This woman.
I mean, I'll transfer the money out of your account into mine and say you did it.
And now you've documented saying that
Now
you're
you've
going to
documented
do
it.
that theft.
So again,
Okay.
just scream from the mountaintops. Athletes and in general, Will, I'm looking at you. Stay away from the Instagram hots. It's not good.
They're so tantalizing, though.
Don't. If you're like, hey, what do you do for a living? I don't know. I was Instagram hot.
Deal makes a good point. Does she think that LOL makes everything better? She's doing a lot of LOL and crying, laughing face emojis, and it seems like that's her way of being like, yeah, this is all fine and above board.
Possible. Well, again, she seems like a lovely, lovely individual.
Yeah.
She's about what you would you would look like if you pick up your random Instagram hot.
Ooh, look at my Sharks. Got their pick.
Oh yeah.
Michael Misa. Never heard of him.
Oh, Micah Misa. Well, Dylan, and hey, on the plus side, Dylan, you had 2 kids with her. So
Always have something to remember her by.
you get to deal with this for the rest of your life. Just
my God.
just when you get into the NBA, just get the vasectomy like
You can get it reversed.
You get it reversed. Just get the vasectomy. Then when you're like 30 and you want to have kids, then you go back. And
we were talking yesterday in the club about taking the risk of if you were partying and you were going to sleep with a hot, but you knew there's a 50% chance of death, would you do it anyways? These guys aren't doing that.
Yeah.
But with some of the
really
people they're
are.
connecting with, they are taking a massive career risk. We've seen it happen to multiple guys in this league. And at what point does it just not become worth it to chase it like that?
Look, I don't want to use the H word for these gals, but come on. Like, looks like a duck, walks like a duck. And they're all running the same circles. They have like 3 different kids by 3 different NBA players.
Don't get me wrong, I like the tatted up whore too.
There you go. And then there's maybe a rapper thrown in there. Like, just stop. Zion, I'm looking right at you. Stop. Just don't do it. Like,
right.
It blows my mind. And if you are going to do it, don't have kids with them. Otherwise, you end up with strength.
The dangerous game of tendy fingers, and she's serious.
Yeah, it's a bold move. By the way, does she have the ability to hire someone to cut off Dylan Brooks's fingers?
I don't know, man.
She might not have to pay for that one.
Well, I'm just saying.
She is very pretty.
If you are going to get someone to cut someone's fingers off, you probably shouldn't have a digital record of you threatening to cut
do so.
someone's fingers off. That's just something that you do. You don't tell that, hey, I'm going to come over and cut off your fingers. That seems...
Well, the better thing to do is write it on...
for that, I think.
Well, just write it on a napkin and then throw it away in a dumpster and you'll never get caught.
Well, I'm like, if you're going to send someone to kill someone else, why tell them to have a gun? Remember she said...
You better have a piece.
You better have a piece.
Yeah.
That seems, again, problematic. Like, if I'm sending someone to shoot you, why would I want you to be armed? It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, that dovetails nicely into our next segment in the news, which will open up with a former Oregon Duck who may or may not have had a piece and may or may not have gotten involved with law enforcement over said piece. We'll talk about that next in the news, but first, Orton Rush Sports Center.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, Blazers first-round pick Yong Hansen was introduced to the media today in his introductory press conference. Hansen was first-team All-CBA selection last year when he was participating in the Chinese Basketball Association. Some trouble going on in Utah right now with their 5th pick in the NBA draft. Ace Bailey, though, is expected to report on Sunday to Utah before the team heads out to Las Vegas for Summer League. They're going to have an introductory press conference on Sunday. Then they'll have a practice on Monday. Bailey went through an abnormal draft process when he opted not to visit and work out with a single NBA team. He was the only American to do this. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to early.
Blew my mind. And I don't even think we can talk about it.
Nope, I don't really think we can. If you're wondering what Antonio Brown is up to, he, remember, was accused of attempted murder after he fired a gun outside of either a boxing fight or a club or something like that.
There was after a boxing match or something. He took a security guard's gun and fired it at some people.
And then he was saying self-defense, but he chased them down, shooting at them. So they were going to hit him with attempted murder, and then reports were that he left the country, but he was still tweeting about how he'd left the country and people can't F with him and all that. Well, yeah, if you go to his Twitter feed now, he has retweeted some internet person who posted a photo with him, and boy, the claims he's making.
Yeah, well, we were talking about Dylan Brooks falling for the Vegas stripper, and stop getting Instagram models and strippers pregnant because they'll threaten to cut off your fingers. Apparently, there is another internet hot named Whoa Vicky.
Yeah.
She goes by Whoa Vicky. And she posted a photo of her and Antonio Brown. And Antonio Brown had the most savage takedown.
It was dismissive, demeaning.
Of a floozy that I've ever seen. And we can't tell you what Antonio Brown said, but do yourself a favor and check out Antonio Brown and Whoa.
Involve the things that he did to her and also references weed residue. So do with that what you will. He also calls her a crackhead.
She deleted the post, but his is still up.
Of course.
It's so good.
That guy.
Antonio Brown, he's the worst person.
He's on a planet of his own, man.
He really is. Wow.
Well, with that, it is Friday, June 27th. It is time for In the News. And let's see, I got a lot of days to get to today. It's so many national days. First of all, I don't know if you fall under this category. It's Drive Your Corvette to Work Day. Ortner, Suk, did you drive your Corvette to work today?
Camry?
I can't fit in a Corvette.
Oh,
my buddy's dad. Shout out to Great Liquor Rick. He's got a sweet 67 Corvette that I want to ride around in, but I'm afraid.
Just doesn't work, huh?
Yeah. We were down at Barrett Jackson, and me and my buddy tried to sit in one of the new vets, which are really nice, and it Will definitely, you would, because Will's taller than I am, your head goes above it's convertible, your head goes above the windshield.
Yeah.
They're not made for big people.
My dad likes sports cars, and he's a little bit over 6'2", and there's certain ones just visibility-wise, the windshields aren't where they need to be and aren't comfortable.
Yeah, it can be a little rough out there.
It's also Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day. I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
Small businesses and right? Small and medium businesses?
I would assume, right? Shout out medium business, small business. Backbone of the nation, right?
National Bingo Day.
Ooh, I haven't played bingo in a while, but I enjoy a good game of bingo. We used to go, there was a bingo hall over in the Couve off of 78, 99-ish. And, you go over there. Don't mess with the olds playing bingo, though.
They take it seriously. They got their stampers out.
Yeah, they got the stampers, and they got, their talismans. I once made a mistake of, she had all these little, figurines. I made the mistake of, looking at one. I picked it up. Yeah, I don't do that. No.
Yeah, they have their routines. Yes. They don't like them messed with.
Yeah.
It's also National Food Truck Day. Do you have a favorite food truck around here? Or I know you hit that taco truck over off of Vaughn.
Angel's Taco Rico right here by the station is really good. There's so many good.
Portland's got a ton of them.
Grinds with Tries was my favorite food truck, but that's now I think they went brick and mortar. Rip City Grill was another one.
Yeah, that was right down by our old office.
Oh my God, that's the
really
best
good
sandwich I've ever had.
I had a ribeye sandwich from there that was just sensational.
But again, I don't think that food carts. I think they moved to brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So there's so many. That's one of the cool parts about the city is, in fact, the new food pods right down here in downtown. Remember they put I forget what it is, but they took a kind of a crappy area and they put up a gate and they do lights and they do music there on the weekend.
Oh yeah. They made it like a little public space hub.
Yeah, there's
type thing.
So many of those places. There's a Smash Burger. I wish I could remember the name of the place.
Okay.
It's Iron something. It is a phenomenal burger that's in there. There are so many good food carts. And also shout out, I don't know who the guy is, but if you've ever been out in downtown in the entertainment district, right there off of Burnside, and late night, there's one falafel place that stays open.
I know the one you're talking about. I've eaten there.
It's right across from where Voodoo Donuts is, by Dante's.
Yep.
I can't tell the number of times you wander out of maybe a certain establishment at 2:30, 3 in the morning.
Euro me.
And there's that dude is the only place. He is like a beacon. He's like a
He
lighthouse.
knows it too. He's like, people are gonna have one option and it's gonna be me. I'm doing my business.
Yes. That Euro guy. I don't know what your name is, but you're a freaking hero. Because when it's
hero of the city.
When it's 3 in the morning and you need a little something to soak up some alcohol, dude, you're there for all of us. Love that guy.
It's National Onion Day.
Yeah,
I love onions. Love onions.
Onions in good proportion. It just depends.
Because I like a caramelized onion, I like a grilled onion, I like a griddled, breakfast style.
Well, an onion ring is
an onion ring's great. I like a crisp red onion on a burger is nice. green onion spruces up any
See,
salad.
I'm not a raw onion. I do like green onion, but I'm not a raw onion guy.
Yeah, I'm
my-
rarely raw onion. It's only the red onion that I'm raw with.
I need my onion. I need my onion cooked.
It's safe for workplace day. Do you feel safe here?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Will's over there kicking stuff left and right. It's
Yeah,
very
he's doing
terrifying.
Sparta kicks on the door still.
Hey, I'm just trying to keep my athleticism while I'm young.
Will's got a lot of weird kicking aggression.
You told me to kick things. I'm kicking things.
Kicking's way better than punching.
That's what this is. So this is actually your fault.
That is true. I did tell him, like, when in doubt, kicking way better than punching.
And we saved the best for last. It is National Women's Fly Fishing Day.
Oh.
Shout out.
Yeah. I don't do a lot. I have fly fished, but
I've messed around with a rod like a little bit, but never enough to call it fishing. Oh, the
Bet
boy.
you have.
Okay.
Bet you have.
Okay.
Bet you have
That's
messed
gonna.
around with
That's
it.
gonna be okay. I saw your eyes light up the moment that
I believe it's a major at Central. If it's not a major, it's a minor.
fly fishing.
Yeah.
That's rad.
it's always one of those things that I tell myself that I'm going to learn how to do.
Yeah. My grandpa took me fishing when I was growing up. We'd go to like the Lafayette Reservoir or something like that, and it was real basic Fisher Price. Push the button on the pole and drop it in the water. But like, I love that stuff, man. I love fishing.
I've fished all over Alaska. I go fishing every time when we go down someplace warm. I
Mm-hmm.
love going out and going out and doing marlin fishing, or you go down for mahi mahi and the Bonita Run.
Yeah.
But none of that stuff is. I don't fly fish. Maybe if I lived in like Montana or Bend and it was very romanticized, right? It's like, I know the concept of it. I just don't do it.
And I got a couple birthdays today. Happy birthday, Khloe Kardashian, Bobby Wagner, Jim Edmonds, Ross Perot, R.I.P. And I found this today in my research.
Something.
Football player and wrestler born in 1929, Dick the Bruiser.
Dick the Bruiser, huh?
Yep. Happy birthday,
Well,
R.I.P.
shout out, happy late birthday. I'm assuming Dick the Bruiser's been dead for a long, long time.
Yeah, he passed in 91.
There you go.
But we do have some actual news in the news, including a former Oregon Duck having a run-in with the law. This is now current 49er Diamador Lenor. And he's facing obstruction of justice charges that stem from an incident last night in which it appears that a police officer saw a group of people around a car and there was a gun on the seat of the car. When they then asked about that gun, someone passed Diamador Lenor the keys to the car, and then he passed them to somebody else, and sounds like they were trying to get to the bottom of whose car, whose gun, and the boys weren't playing ball. And so that's, I think, where we are on this. Doesn't indicate that he's done. He may not have done anything wrong, but that's what the situation
he
is.
got hit with the obstruction charge for whether
Right.
it was his or not. He was not helping in the investigation.
Yes. Or he was obstructing.
He's no snitch, right?
5 years.
Whose gun it is?
5 years, $92 million can get you a nice legal defense, I'd imagine.
Well, I'm sure the 49ers are thrilled about it. They did the. We're aware. We're investigating. Blah blah blah.
Don't you love it when you pay a guy a nice $5 million or 5-year deal, and then in his first offseason he goes out and does that?
Yeah, $92 million, and isn't that hard to not be around a gun? Like, you got $92 million. Can't you pay someone to have the gun and have it not be, just. It was a Carmelo Anthony, right? Fall Guy. Just have someone that's their job. They carry the money, they have the gun, or just. Don't need a gun,
don't,
maybe.
maybe.
But hey man, gotta be out there in those streets. Where are you gonna meet those Instagram hots, man? Where you gonna find those baby mamas? You gotta be out there mixing it up.
Now, additionally, I do have another piece of sports news in the news. This could maybe fit somewhere else. It's kind of peculiar. Did you see that the Portland WNBA team has moved on from their brand new CEO and team president?
I know. Isn't that the weirdest thing?
3 months on the job for Inky Sun, who came from New York and is now on her way back to New York after 3 months with the franchise. They released a statement basically saying, we thank her for the tremendous impact that she made, but off she goes.
What sort of impact can you make in 3
Sounds like
months?
she either ruffled feathers or, that's a really short trial run there. So I don't know what to expect of that situation.
Well, maybe she was the one that decided that they were going to be the Portland Fire.
I wondered that today. Like, are they just putting that on her like, hey, you didn't even consider all this other stuff. Get out of here.
Well, it got leaked like a week or so ago that they filed all the trademarks for Portland Fire, and everyone instantly went, seriously?
Yeah.
You're going back to the Portland Fire? Cool. Like, that's the worst decision ever. I wonder if that got her fired.
The team has surpassed 10,000 season ticket deposits for their first year in 2026.
All right, well, go Portland, whatever. Hopefully it's not Fire.
And then
Can we just all agree that that's like the dumbest thing to go back to?
yes.
Like, first off, it was a dumb name in the first place. Second, last time I checked, the Pacific Northwest, yeah, fires aren't a good thing, you know? And by the way, you play during, I don't know, fire season.
Yeah.
Maybe we just come up with, and by the way, you were a team here for like 11 minutes.
I've had this question before.
Move
like
on.
the Miami Hurricanes, the Carolina Hurricanes, those regions get ravaged by hurricanes. Is it a little odd that you take that, like the San Jose earthquakes? You don't have to name yourself after the natural disaster that ruins people's lives in your area.
Dude, there's like 1,000 names you can come up with that are better than the Portland Fire. Don't do it.
Yeah. All right, I do have one more little city and sports news item, and also Salt and Straw's back with their summer flavors. Get to that next in the news on The Fan. I've messed around with a rod.
Thanks to our
I've messed around with a rod, and it makes me sad.
Primetime with Isaac and Suk on 1080 The Fan.
You know, together those actually work pretty good.
Yeah, you like the rods. It's okay.
I'm not gonna. I was going to comment again on that, and I almost walked into it a second time. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And it makes me sad. It is in the news for Friday, June 27th. Got one more sports item on the docket here. No Toltina has signed the Senate Bill 110, which sets aside $800 million for the construction of a new stadium if Portland gets its Major League Baseball team. Again, this doesn't necessarily mean they're any closer, but should they get closer, this is one more obstacle that is already cleared.
So, A's are settled. Obviously, they're building a stadium there. Still waiting on the Rays. Sounds like they're going to get sold. And then once that happens, expansion, and then Nashville will get a team, and then it's down to us in Salt Lake. I leave it to you to decide who's in the lead between us and Salt Lake, but I'll give you a hint. It's not us.
Yeah, it's not us.
Salt Lake has already started building their entertainment district. So it sounds like Salt Lake's goal is to have the entertainment district built, complete, and then at one end of it, just a big empty lot waiting for Major League Baseball to say yes, and then they throw up the stadium.
Well, it's time for Salt and Straw Summer Flavors. Now, I didn't realize this, but this is part of their Salt and Straw Berry Series. And so I guess they do a berry series every summer. I knew they did summer flavors.
Sure.
Didn't realize they were berry-centric, but they are.
Okay.
So we have 5 new flavors, and this cheeky little article says they can't contain their excitement.
I see what they did there. That's hilarious.
The first one, birthday cakes and blackberries.
Well, let me just say for the record that birthday cake is always a great flavor of anything. And then you throw blackberries in there, I'm on board.
See, when it comes to the birthday cake flavor base, I feel like I generally more often would just prefer vanilla than like than the birthday cake or the cake batter. But you know, I'm not opposed. Give that one a
Dairy
whirl.
Queen has a cake batter blizzard right now in conjunction with that new Superman hunk of crap. And let me tell you, that blizzard, delightful. I'm a big fan of the cake batter. Yellow cake that's a delightful flavor.
Yellow cake is really good.
Yeah.
Underrated, some would say. We also have strawberry pretzel salad. Now, I'm trying to understand.
Intrigued?
Yeah, I'm very intrigued.
Well,
so
strawberry good, pretzel good, salad.
Let's. Now I'm on their site.
Salad, yummy, yummy. Sort of
And it appears to be a Japanese inspiration. It's the Oishii strawberry pretzel salad, a mashup of Midwestern salad culture and Japanese strawberries.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, me neither. But it says it's cream cheese ice cream with a crunchy pretzel crumble and a swirl of vibrant strawberry jam using Japanese strawberries.
That sounds amazing.
It sounds really good.
Yes.
Give me a little bit of crunch with, and by the way, cream cheese ice cream, top notch.
Absolutely. And now I'll have to hear from the BTJ how it's simply the best ice cream in the world because it's Japanese. Because according to her, everything that's Japanese is better.
We have our one vegan offering, which is the banana bread and strawberry jam flavor.
Oh my God, that sounds great if it wasn't vegan, because vegan ice cream is not ice cream.
Hunks of Gonana's salted caramel banana bread tossed into a banana caramel coconut cream and rippled with bright strawberry jam.
Boy, everything about that is awesome.
Except for the V in front of it.
Except for the vegan. Can I request that be made with real ice cream?
I think you just did.
Because, oh my God, that sounds incredible. I want that right now. But vegan, have you ever had vegan ice cream?
I don't know that I have. I mean, I've tried, you know, when they have samples of vegan things, I'll try a vegan cookie or a vegan Costco sample, whatever. But no, I've not had a scoop of vegan ice cream.
I've tried to do the vegan ice cream thing a handful of times, and it's awful. It's absolutely terrible. And like, oh, it tastes like ice cream. No, it doesn't. It's like when you eat fake chicken. You're like a vegan. We were at a food cart place and they had nachos that were vegan nachos.
Yeah.
No, it's not nachos.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing you're putting on there.
You're putting like a cashew cream on that you're calling nacho cheese or something.
Yeah. And then like they were doing like fake beef and get out of here.
It's tough. I mean, I listen, I love that there are people who are being inventive for people that want to follow that diet, but I don't need to go there because I still have 2 more flavors to get to. And now these are flavors, or at least ingredients, we've seen them put together before. And this almost sounds familiar, like they might have done it before, but the goat cheese Marionberry habanero.
Yeah, that's one of those like that doesn't seem to be good, but
But
I'll
you
bet
take a bite and it is.
Yeah, that's like they have that blue cheese pear thing or whatever.
Yep.
That's really good. Doesn't
That-
seem like
yeah,
it'd
it
be
doesn't.
good, but it is.
It says it's a sweet and spicy combo of tangy goat cheese and a fruity, fiery Marionberry habanero jam swirl.
Guarantee that's going to be good.
And then the final one, huckleberry cornbread pudding flavor.
I believe I've had that before.
Wild foraged huckleberry ice cream swirled with a smooth cornbread pudding and studded with hunks of rustic buttermilk cornbread.
I think they've had that. That may be a return engagement because I've had. I swear I've had that. And
It's possible that this one is back from previous year.
it's because if it's the one I'm thinking of,
Because I feel like this goat cheese Marionberry habanero sounds awfully familiar. I may have even tasted that myself.
because I've had a cornbread ice cream
Yeah.
with like a fruit in there, and it was because the cornbread gives it a little bit of a texture.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like the crumbles in there. Every one of those minus whatever that stupid vegan thing is sounds really good.
Yeah, top of my list has got to be the Oshii strawberry pretzel salad. Gonna have to get me a scoop of that
I won't,
before
because-
these go out in July 31.
I'll never get these because there'll be a line and I won't wait in line.
Fun hack, which I learned long ago. If you are not waiting to get scooped ice cream, you can go right to the front of the line. So they have a freezer there with pints
Oh,
in
you
the
gotta get the
corner.
pints.
So you can see that big ass line and you're walking out of dinner or you're walking out of a bar or whatever, walk right past all those people, grab your pint, and go straight to the counter.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
you won't be able to taste
you
them
won't be able to
first,
get-
but
you won't get a cone or whatever. You can
no,
buy a
but you can get the ice cream and
I-
not
I-
have too much issue.
There is one thing I will not stand in line for. Well, actually, there's a lot of things I won't stand in line for.
Just one?
And ice cream is certainly one of it. I don't care how good the ice cream is, dude. I'm not doing it. Like what? You get 30 people in line. Yeah, I'm good here.
That's all the time we have for In the News. Brought to you, of course, by the Advocates Law. You can visit them, advocateslaw.com. Remember, if you've been hurt, you don't need a lawyer. You need an advocate. Coming up, hour number 3 of this SOB edition of Primetime. We got more sports stuff. Not sure what exactly, but we'll get to it next on The Fan.
Hey, it's Suk, and when it comes to
the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Mariners are getting their series started with the Rangers tonight. Logan Gilbert on the mound for the M's, Nathan Eovaldi for the Rangers. First pitch for that one's going to get underway here in about 2 minutes. Other big news coming out of Seattle. Their catcher Cal Raleigh announced today that he will be entering the MLB Home Run Derby on July 14th. Raleigh currently leads the majors. He has 32 home runs. Couple of score updates going on right now in Pittsburgh after a brief rain delay. The Pirates are up 4-0 on the Mets. Top of the fourth there just got underway. No outs. Yankees up 2-0 on the Athletics. Bottom of the third, Yankees do have runners on third and on first. They do have 2 outs in that one. The big barn burner going on right now in Baltimore. Tampa Bay is leading the Orioles 6-4. It's the bottom of the second. 2 outs. Orioles do have a runner on first. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
More, please. Golf in the
All right, hour number 3, an SOB edition of Primetime. I heard John C. Reilly say that he woke up at 10 in the morning. I woke up at 4:45 in the morning today.
You poor bad. Well, you got kids, and that's your own fault.
It's true. Yeah, the oldest, who's 4, when he starts to kind of stir in the morning, if an adult doesn't rush in there and get him to come basically settle down and cozy up and go back to bed, he's like, my brain's up, I'm up, everyone else is up. And that's the hand I was dealt this morning.
Well, that happens.
Busts into the room with me and the baby and goes, good morning, Dada. Good morning, Maze. And he flips the light on. It's still dark out, dude.
Yeah, if I'm up at 4:45, I just didn't go.
It's because you stayed up.
It's because I stayed up.
Yeah.
That's when you just kind of turn the clock, or the insomnia. Because I'll have a. It's not as bad as anymore. I used to have a horrid case of it.
I did too.
And insomnia usually around 3:30 is when I quit. Like if the brain won't shut off, and at 3:30 I'm having chicken fingers sort of debates, then I just get up and
we're I guess we're starting the day now.
Yeah, we start the day. But yeah, the kid thing, there's nothing you can do about that. You know, I get every now and then, because with the dog, you can put a dog outside.
Yeah.
Because occasionally my dog will wake me up in the middle of the night for something, and you just stick him outside. You're like, buddy, you're out there. The kid,
and he's almost old enough to just wake up and do his own thing. Like, he's really close. But if I go and set him up out there with a blanket and Peppa Pig, and I go back to bed, it will be no longer than 5 minutes before I hear Dada. And he either wants juice or hoping I can make him some breakfast sausage or
I've done that. I remember
whatever.
when my kids were little on the weekend, you would do that. You set them up on the couch with a 9-hour DVD or whatever.
Yep.
And some snacks or whatever, and then you just go and
those Netflix shows just keep rolling.
Yeah. Then you just go and pass out and hope that hope everything works out for the best.
And it almost never does.
You need a panic room for kids.
Yeah.
Someone needs to come up with
padded walls.
Yeah, where everything's fine.
Get some yayas out.
Yeah,
total
maybe
safety.
there's an AI robot sensor in case anything really bad happens, it can alert you. But for the most part, we just we throw you in the padded room. Where it's everything is
safe
easy.
Space.
Everything's easy to wipe down in case someone soils themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe there's those automatic dog treat feeders.
Oh yeah.
There's some.
You just put goldfish in them instead.
Some goldfish or whatever, and then there's just a crack-proof screen built into the wall, and you just stick them in there in the morning, and you press a button and it seals them in. Maybe some soothing music. Maybe inside the goldfish there's some Benadryl to drug them up nice and. You're getting ready to go on a flight. You just drug your kid because no one's ever done that before.
No.
You drug the kid.
I will say,
there's $1 million idea for someone out there.
If we have to take a long flight, even if we have to take a short flight, we are super intentional about what time that flight leaves and lands now, because like if it's a long one, there's certain times that you can set it up where you're like, I'm actually going to get this kid to sleep for part of it instead of having to entertain them for 4 hours. Or
It has been
is.
so long since I've had to deal with that. Like,
it's a whole thing.
Yeah, the idea of going. I got a buddy of mine who is getting remarried, and he's like in his 50s. And there's talk of because she's younger and she wants a little one, and I'm like, oh, and he's like, well, you know, but look, if you're older and you're marrying a younger gal, that kind of comes with the territory.
That's going to be part of
like,
it.
Oh my God,
yeah,
you're restarting.
Is he going to be a dad?
Huh? Well, he's thinking.
Oh, it's under consideration.
It's under consideration.
Got it.
The idea of me starting over, and I'm younger than he is. I'm still in my late 40s, but the idea of starting over with a kid, I think I'd put my head in an oven first. It's just, there's just no, I just can't, under what circumstances. You could tell me that kid was going to be Jesus. It was going to be the second coming. I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to pass. Like, I'm going to shove that on to someone else. I just could not do it at that. Because I see like dads like you and like everything that has to go on. And I'm like, oh, I remember those days.
Yeah.
And you're like, you want to go back? No. They're fun because you get all the fun little kid stuff.
For sure. I spent like 3 hours today with my boys. They were just running around out, like just running. They just wanted to run and pick up rocks and look at bugs. And
I won't even get a second dog. I'm in right now, the family is like conspiring against me. They want a new, because we never just had one dog and the other two have died. So we just have the one Akita. And now the place we got him from had baby Akitas, and they're like the cutest damn things. And so now it's like I'm getting like a lot of pressure to get a second dog. I won't even take on the responsibility of a second dog. I'm like, it's too much responsibility. Imagine a kid.
That's a lot.
I'm not willing to raise a puppy. You want me to raise a child? Nah, we're out. Leaving that. That's a young man's game, Buckley. It's a young man's game.
Well, I've got a couple of things in the club tonight that I'm excited to discuss, including we got a list from the New York Times. They surveyed over 500 people in the film industry, from actors to producers to critics, and we have our top 100 films of this quarter century.
Oh, see, this intrigues me because I love.
So we can decide.
I do love movies.
Where we want to start on the list and how many we want to try to get to, and whether you think stuff's overrated, underrated, what have you.
I want to see how many I've seen too.
Sure.
If there's a movie with a buzz, even if I don't particularly care for it, I will try to. I will go out of my way to see it. If I think I've seen every best Oscar winner.
Sure.
I'll even if I don't like La La Land. I know that didn't win, but like that was nominated.
They thought they won.
Thought they won. Not great, but I saw it just because
I did too.
It's got buzz.
Yeah.
Nora was this last year.
I didn't see Nora. Yeah,
it was all right.
Well, and I think what's interesting about this list, and you will see, is that because it's mostly film people who were surveyed on this.
Yeah.
You do get a lot of the artistic. Yeah. There are really great films that you and I both love that are on this list, but there's also some that you're like, I don't know if that belongs in the top 15.
Well, and that is the problem. Like Top Gun Maverick is a perfect summer movie.
Wildly entertaining, perfect in every way.
And I'll go back and look at what won, but Top Gun Maverick was the best movie of whatever that was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It could never win under any circumstances, but it was the best movie. But it won't win because it
doesn't.
Well, yeah, it's a popcorn Hollywood.
It's an action blockbuster.
Yes, and that always bums me out that we can't acknowledge that sometimes the fun movie that you just go and see for 2 hours. No offense, but if you've watched the Brutalist, which won this year,
I heard good things about that.
Don't.
No,
it is.
Is that the one that has Kieran Culkin in it, or is that
and it's Adrian Brody. Yeah. It is so brutally long, and it's fine.
I wanted it to be good. I wanted to see that one.
You'll watch it once, and you will never ever watch it again. Yeah. But it's that film that wins. I'm sorry, that's not. You will never watch that movie more than one time. You will see it once, and you'll be like, yeah, and never again. You're like, I'm glad I watched it. Never again.
And then apparently the James Bond franchise is circling their next Bond to replace Daniel Craig, and internet not very happy with the 3 choices that they seem to be keen on. And finally, a survey on the world's most promiscuous countries. Who's got the most partners on average by nation? Sleaze. And does the U.S. make the top 10?
And please tell me which country those are so I can avoid them.
Of course.
I will know which countries to not travel to.
I think I know this.
Do you?
think.
Well, let's
I think
save
I know
it.
this.
There's a chance you saw this where I saw this.
And I'm pretty sure I know this. I could have forgotten it.
I
but
was
I'm pretty sure.
I was stunned at the answer, so we will get to that coming up in the club. But now we've burned through another segment, and we need to talk a little bit more Yongbong. Yong Hansen was introduced to the Portland media today. Got a couple more sound bites from him and his head coach Chauncey Billups, and we'll do that next. Primetime 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is
To mention, the internet is also buzzing. The Jeff Bezos wedding is going down in Venice, which has upset a lot of Venetians and Italians. And boy, that's been like almost like a little culture war in and of itself. But
What does that cost?
it's a star-studded affair at that wedding, and there are two presumably single individuals who may be linking up that could break the internet.
That will officially break. The
So
internet,
we will
yes.
we'll get to that in the club as well. But now I want to talk a little bit more Hansen Yong, or Yong Hansen as it may be. He was introduced, the Blazers' 16th overall draft pick from round one of the draft, was introduced to Portland today to meet the media. We played some clips earlier of him answering some questions in English about his background, about his off-the-court interests, which included sleep, eat, and PS5. We also later found that rain is something else that he likes. So good to be in the Northwest.
I thought for being told that he doesn't speak English and he didn't answer all the questions in English, I thought his English was really good.
Yeah, here's what he sounded like talking about his off-court interests.
Sometimes I sleep, all time sleep, and I like play PS5, and I like eat.
Good man.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, he attempted to answer.
He's giving it a
didn't
shot.
attempt. He answered several. He had an interpreter up there, and some of the longer questions he used the interpreter. But I love that he said that he wants to get rid of the interpreter.
Yep.
I do appreciate probably the interpreter's like, dude, man, shut the hell up, man. Like, I got a sweet gig here. Leave me alone. I love that he doesn't want to use the interpreter.
Yeah.
He's trying to mix it up. He's trying to learn the language. He was trying to answer questions. And I thought he did a really nice job. And he came across as a very likable young man.
Well, you were talking earlier about maybe what his deficiency could be, or what people are saying about that he needs, and whether he can keep up with the speed of the game as a big. But he was asked in today's presser about what he needs to improve, and here's that response.
I need a workout, so I need more fast, more strong. 我需要在内线就是更多的就是有更多的对抗，然后去获得篮板球，然后去在内线能够打得更好，就是。
He tried to be more physical in the paint, like try to grab a rebound, like try to get post points every time, like finish that.
So again, he knows he needs to get stronger, and again, he tries to answer the question, and he starts out, and then he's like, "Yo, buddy, I need you to hook me up with the end of it here, the physicality and whatnot." But yeah, so it seems like it's physical stuff. If you've watched some of his highlights, and again, take it for what it's worth because of who he's playing against, but he seems like a really adept passer. Like he's really a really soft touch around the basket, has good vision. But you wonder if he's got the speed to keep up with the NBA game, and he's young enough that we'll see.
That's the thing, you'll never know until you see it. But I would assume. I mean, look. He was at the NBA draft. I do think we've gone a little too far with this. You know, he came out of the nosebleeds and he was expected to be a late first, early second.
Expected to be selected in this draft, which only has 2 rounds.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought him over.
Right.
And they wouldn't have had him in a suit. And by all accounts, it sounds like most people now think that in reality, he would have gone somewhere in the 20s. They even asked him specifically, and he said that he thought he was going to go after pick 20. So after pick 20, that's not second round.
No.
And then you look at Brooklyn, who had 2 picks in the 20s, and Brooklyn was one of the teams supposedly that was interested in him and that he worked out for. So yes, he was surprised that he went 16, but if you're expected to go 21 or 23 and
that's
you go
only
7
spots off or something.
Like
it's not a lot.
So I do think that because we didn't know about him and it wasn't someone that anyone was previewing, I think we've gone a little too hard into the paint with this. It's the outlier of all outliers. Now that we're removed from it a little bit, Blazers scouted him for 2 years, wanted him for 2 years. Other teams had him in the early 20s. At least one other team did in Brooklyn. At worst, you had him in the early second round, which is essentially a late first round pick. And today at do we have the Chauncey one where we talked about, play the Chauncey clip of what they expect from him?
Yeah, here's Chauncey on rookie year expectations.
I just see him just continuing to get better and better and better and learn our game, learn our system, offensively and defensively, learning the language. You know, it's just so much development that needs to happen. But, you know, I will feel very comfortable putting him in the game right now. He's that good, you know. So to me, this is not like a project type of situation. This guy's ready to go, you know. But he's in, you know, a crowded room, you know, DA, DC, and Rob, Hansen, WAP. So this will be an incredible educational year for him. And when he does get a chance to play, I think everybody will be really impressed.
So, I mean, there's your coach. And now, granted, this is the same organization that told me that Scoot Henderson was a generational player that wasn't going to struggle making the transition at all. Turned out that was a load. Same organization that told me Zach Collins was Kevin McHale and was a foundational piece. And, you know, it's the organization is full of crap 90% of the time. But That's from your head coach that just said this is not a massive project. He could play right now. Now, will he play? You got 19 different centers. But I do think, as fun as this story is, and the Yang Bang and now the Yong Bong, and I think kind of the Asian thing obviously plays into a little bit, and people are kind of having fun with it. At the end of the day, this is the 16th overall pick in the draft.
And you expect him to do something.
Yes. If he gets on the floor, and right now he's probably your 4th or 5th best center.
Sure.
With all due respect to anyone, DeAndre Ayton anchored a team that went to the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I checked.
Mm-hmm.
People forget, he was the starting center for the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns went to the NBA Finals. And by the way, that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton, when motivated, is a really good player. And DeAndre Ayton going into the last year of his contract, I would assume
Probably
you're going
motivated.
to get the best DeAndre Ayton.
It might be his last chance at a big bag, too.
Yes.
So you're probably going to get his best.
So he's not DeAndre Ayton. You drafted Donovan Clingan, who had a nice rookie year. Whatever. It wasn't like earth-shattering, but he's a good defensive player, and he had some moments, so he's not Donovan Clingan. And Robert Williams, when healthy, which is never, but when he is healthy, anchored a NBA championship team in the Boston Celtics. So at bare minimum, this kid is your 4th best center.
Mm-hmm.
But Robert Williams and Ayton, I would assume this is the last year in Portland. At some point, both of those guys are gone. So we need to get over this cute little fun story of no one saw this guy and he's, the Youngzilla and no.
He's here to contribute.
He's here to contribute. He's the 16th overall pick, and I would expect at the beginning of the season for him to be in the G League, and then when the roster clears out and you move some of these centers, I don't think you should treat him with kid gloves. You just heard Chauncey Billups say that he could be comfortable playing him right now.
Then let him learn.
So there's no other player that was drafted ahead of him. If you took the top 16 players in the league and you asked what their team expects of them, the answer is to contribute. So we just got to get over this. No one saw this coming and it's a fun, cute little flyer. No, it's not. This is not a sideshow gimmick. This is not Ha. This is not Ha coming over because Paul Allen fell in love with him in the 40s. It's a guy that should be able to play.
Now, do you care to guess, do you know off the top of your head how many Blazers games Robert Williams has played in 2 seasons?
Oh, God. God, 22.
Close, 26.
26.
6 games his first year, 20 last season. What do we think?
I don't
what
know.
is the? But
Just
could
move
you
on.
get something from him? Like for him, what is his value even? Because he's supposed, like you said, he did he came off the bench to anchor a champion. Did he start with that team?
No, when he was healthy, he was the defensive force.
But he was a big piece.
That whole playoffs, he was battling a bad knee.
Yeah.
So when he played,
And still is.
I don't get rid of him.
I
don't know-
agree.
I
How
don't know
easy is that?
why? I honestly don't know why he's here. I mean, are you really expecting him to be healthy and then move him for what are you getting for? You could offer me like a nice Philly cheesesteak sandwich and I don't know, like a case of tall boy banquets.
Okay.
Some Yellow Jackets. What? Robert Williams does nothing for you. He doesn't play. He's hurt. You're not getting anything from him. There's no way. Is the theory that the Lakers at the trade deadline are going to be like, okay, I got it. Robert Williams is the answer. And if that is, I don't know.
Yes, they're linked to like Bam Adebayo
some
and
second round picks for him. Like no one's going to trust that Robert Williams is going to stay healthy.
So get rid of him and get something, because that's the other thing as it pertains to Yong is it does feel like you have guys that it would behoove the Blazers to try and move those vets who have any sort of trade value. Like you mentioned Ayton. If Ayton comes out in a contract year and is playing well and he's an expiring deal, somebody probably wants him for a playoff run if he's playing well. So you may have the opportunity, one, to get return assets for players that aren't particularly serving your mission right now, and open up that runway for players like Kling Kong and Yong to come in and just play more.
Robert Williams has played more than 50 games once in his entire career. The last 3 years, 26 and 35. Like you're not.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just taking up space at this point. Clearly, the future of your team. Although the weird part about it, the future of your team is the 2 centers that you drafted the last 2 years. The weird part about it is I just never know with this dumb organization because there's 19 timelines. It's like trying to follow the stupid Marvel universe There's like 7 different timelines.
Well,
and
just the last
now
two
Tony
moves.
Stark is
Acquiring Drew Holiday and drafting
Yes.
a 20-year-old product from China. Like they're opposite ends of it, or they're opposite timelines.
And don't get me started on Jeremy Grant as well. Like what? I don't know. I don't know what
I
we're doing.
assumed that they were going to try to move him to a contender who could use him last year, and I know he was banged up too. But yeah, he's a nice basketball player. I don't get what he's doing here.
Yeah. To me, the only way that any of this makes sense, and you don't have to please me. The only way this makes sense is at some point this year, Jeremy Grant and DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams are shuffled off. But then you got the damn Drew Holiday thing, which makes me believe that maybe that's all a load of crap, because is it possible that this crew thinks that they're playing for their job? Like if you got a new ownership coming in, and this is the one thing that you can never discount. It happens all the time. People make dumb, rash decisions when their jobs are on the line.
Yeah, and their backs are against the wall.
Their backs are against the wall, because it's not about what's good for the team 5 years from now. It's what's good to keep.
How do I save
job.
my ass right now?
So if you're Chauncey Billups and you just got your contract extension, which by the way means nothing in the NBA, guys get fired 1 year into a contract extension all the time. And you know that the team is going to be sold probably before the end of this upcoming season, and there's going to be decisions made. It's a lot easier to keep Joe Cronin and Chauncey Billups and company. And by the way, if Joe Cronin gets fired, he probably doesn't get another GM job. Chauncey, maybe
he may have earned himself a look with somewhere
another
else.
job. But the thing that scares me is there is a real chance that winning 46 games and battling for a play-in spot and keeping Grant and Ayton and Holiday and playing them big minutes and keeping Klingon and Young and Scoot and all these guys in more of a backup role, that's probably the way to win you more games. And even if it stunts the future, and is that enough what they view is to keep their job? You can say, hey, look, we've got a young core, but look, we were the 9 seed and we're trending up. So maybe all this talk of it seems like these guys have to be moved. Maybe they don't.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't. But I would like at some point the timeline to be
clearer.
Cleaned up.
Yeah.
Cleaned up, because it feels like you have from Ayton to Williams to Drew Holiday to Jeremy Grant. And think about that. Those, in theory, right? Drew Holiday is the starter at point guard. DeAndre Ayton is the starter at center. And Jeremy Grant is
your 3.
Is your 3 or your 4, right? Depending on what lineup you're running out. None of those guys, not a single one, pencils into your future. So how can you be an ascending team with 3/5 of your lineup that won't be here?
Yeah.
That's the part that I want to see eventually cleaned up.
Yeah.
So
and I'm not waiting on bated breath for that, because it feels like things are often murky, but it would be nice to know what that direction looks like with a little bit of, I guess, definitive nature.
Yeah, that's all I want. And someone saying, what about a 30-pack of Keystone Light Jollibee instead of Coors and a cheesesteak? No, I'm not trading Time Lord for Keystone Light. What am I? Am I 14? Keystone, get the hell out of here, Keystone Light. I'm driving a hard bargain. You want Robert Williams.
That was our college beer pong beer. Keystone
Exactly.
Light.
No. Maybe. If you don't want to spring for the banquets, then how about some Rainiers? I may do some vitamin R's, but you're not giving me this Keystone Light. Now, the Jollibee, I'm open to some Jollibee.
Okay.
Like, give me like a big family pack of Jollibee that I think it's.
Isn't that the hot dog and ketchup pasta
I think it's
place?
Filipino.
Yeah, I think
it's
it's Filipino.
You can give me some Jollibee, but I'm holding steady. You gotta give me Keystone.
I've not had Jollibee. I don't know that I will. We'll see.
You should.
All right.
Dude, Jollibee's worth having.
I got a couple more basketball notes for you, and I also have an epic gambling tale to share that involves a bonus bet and the WNBA. That's coming up on Primetime. But first, Ortner has SportsCenter.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Reynolds Defense Firm. If you've been arrested for a DUI, you need a team of attorneys that you can put your trust into. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today, online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on The Fan, top of the second in Arlington. Mariners-Rangers tied at 1-1. Mariners were able to get a run in the top of the first. Couple of singles, followed by Jorge Polanco getting an RBI, scoring Julio Rodriguez. Mariners weren't able to keep the scoring going back to the bottom of the first. Rangers get a home run from Corey Seager. That was a solo shot there. Elsewhere for the Mariners, Cal Raleigh announced today that he's going to enter the MLB Home Run Derby. That's going to be on July 14th. Raleigh currently leads the majors with 32 home runs, and he did hint that he plans on batting in both the left and right batter's boxes. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan is live on YouTube and
You know, I also have a Karen Reed update that'll come up in the club. Not really about legal matters, but you can guess what she's doing next.
I told you she's gonna start an OnlyFans.
Well, we're not quite there yet, but
She will.
she's we're maybe on that path
You know
already.
you're heading that way. You know you're heading that way. If you're even remotely attractive and you become infamous, dude, just start an OnlyFans. You're gonna make millions. That one bad baby or bad Barbie gal, the Catch Me Outside girl, Made like $40 million.
That's unbelievable.
I know. Meanwhile, we're here doing this stupid radio show for $17.50
All you had
an
to
hour.
do was like go on Maury and say, "Cash me outside. How about that?"
That's right.
God.
And then be somewhat attractive. That's all you have to do. Be somewhat attractive. And they're like, hey, you want to give me $20? And someone's like, yep. And lots of it.
You know, I saw this this tweet from Mark Spears today. We were talking a little bit earlier about the Ace Bailey conundrum and how that basically his agent is not doing him any favors. He's probably
It's not even a real agent. It's his AAU coach.
Yeah, he's getting bad advice from his own camp, and they told certain teams that they're not going to show up if they draft him, and it seems like one of those teams drafted him in Utah, and then they're like, yeah, well, we're not showing up. So reports are now that he is going to show up Saturday, despite not showing up with fellow first-round pick Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah.
But Mark Spears, who has written for ESPN for years, had this tweet today. He said, Ace Bailey's story reminds me about Stephen Curry's father, an agent, asking the Warriors not to draft him in 2009 with the 7th pick so that he could instead go to the Knicks with the following pick.
Oh,
Steph did not work out for the Warriors, and undeterred, Warriors GM at the time, Larry Riley, just drafted him anyways.
Well,
I had forgotten about that, and I'm a
Yeah.
Steph guy.
Well, this idea that you can pick and this is like Caleb Williams' dad who's exploring could he sue the NFL over the draft
Or just decide to not go to Chicago, a la Elway.
I love it. It is kind of adorable that we're like, you're like, well, I don't really want to play for this team, therefore, like I'm like, do you understand the way the draft works?
No.
I mean, occasionally you can play hardball. Like Eli Manning made it work, but Eli Manning made it work because there was Phillip Rivers.
Yes.
Had Phillip
You
Rivers
had 2 top prospects there.
Had Phillip Rivers not been there, the Giants weren't just going to capitulate and
Right.
do the Eli Manning
Right.
thing.
They only did it because they had another option.
And both, by the way, turned out to be really good. I'd make the argument that Phillip Rivers was the better quarterback. He just, you make the argument that Eli did the right thing because New York ended up winning 2 Super Bowls and the Chargers never ended up even getting to one with Phillip Rivers. But yeah, this notion that you somehow can just bully teams into getting where where you want to be. It's especially for someone like Ace Bailey that is not the end all, the be all.
No, he's not the number one guy. He's not, and because of all the things he did in his draft process, he's probably made himself less desirable to a lot of other people who might have previously wanted to trade for him.
In the history of the league, this has worked so, and I'm
almost
like,
never
any league. I
Yeah,
mean, you see it like
right.
Eric Lindros tried this in the NHL, and
Elway did it, right?
Elway did it. Elway managed to do it. He had the baseball thing in his back pocket,
Right, because he like went to spring training and came
Bo
with the
Jackson
Yankees, right?
managed to do it because again, baseball. Steve Young had the USFL that he went and did. Still ended up having to go to Tampa Bay. So, I mean, once in a blue moon, it does work out. But man, for a guy like Ace Bailey that was not considered the number one prospect, I just can't remember a guy butchering something so bad as Ace Bailey. Now, hopefully, it sounds like the Jazz are willing to forgive and forget, and
they just want their basketball player.
Yeah, they're saying like I mean,
the
Angels have said that he's a great kid and they're looking forward to him, but they did say also either you play with us or you don't play in the NBA.
I saw a tweet that was funny. It says, it's surprising that Ace Bailey has such an issue playing for Utah when he voluntarily played for Rutgers last year.
Well, it is kind of also weird. If you want the state of basketball, which is so strange, they had the number 2 and the number 5, and had Ace Bailey not been a chaunch, it would have been the 2 and 3 pick and on Rutgers last year, and they didn't make the NCAA tournament.
They won 8 conference games.
It's such a strange basketball, and you would think that 1 or 2 guys on a basketball team would make all the difference in the world.
And you could see it if it was like, I mean, I'm trying to remember, and I'm going to look up right now who their coach is, because like if it were like a St. John's and it's Patino, like you get it, but I it's got to be the money. It's got to be, I don't know.
They also lost their sponsorship deal. So both of these guys, I believe, are Nike athletes, Harper and Ace Bailey.
Yeah.
They were Under Armour. And to get these 2 guys to go there, they had to switch as an entire university to Nike, I believe.
Steve Pickiel. So not some legend.
Well, and I know for Rutgers, like you spent you spent a lot of money to get these guys, and it led you to. Is that worth it? Because it puts you on the map, but it led you to 8 conference wins.
Like it did not get you to the postseason with 2 of the best basketball players in the world.
I'm convinced that maybe the worst investment in the world is college NIL. Like what you get for the money. Again, go back to like anything from Nico at Tennessee to these 2 kids. Just the amount of money that is being spent on high school and college athletes to get them to their places, I just
Feels like we're due for a correction, doesn't it?
can't think of a worse investment in this money.
I think about it two ways. In one way, I think this is going to swing back the other way at some point when the people who have put up a lot of this money are seeing that clearly they're not getting the return on the investment.
And that's what I want to know. Like, how many times can one guy write a check?
Then I also wonder about the hope and the greed and the like, you know what? I know we got burned by this guy, but if we keep doing it and other teams don't, this is our edge. It feels like there's always going to be somebody willing to step up and pay the freight.
I don't know. Well, and now supposedly under the new House settlement rules, they're going to vet NIL deals, right? They're going to say that, like, now all deals over a certain amount, and it's like $10,000 or something. It's a very small amount, are going to have to be vetted, and if they're not considered real NIL deals, it's basically pay for play. They're going to rule those null and void. That's what I want to see. I want to see who's got the balls to go and tell the courts.
It's such a circus.
You're just going to get Jeffrey Kessler, by the way, who's the guy that sues the NCAA at every turn. He was one of the lawyers in the House settlement. You know that Jeffrey Kessler is just sitting there laughing.
He's licking his chops.
Saying, please, 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 tell the best quarterback in the country that just got a $4 million NIL deal that's not a legit deal and that it doesn't pass clearinghouse and he can't accept the $4 million. I can't wait for the NCAA to try to get that past the court system. To tell someone that deal is not in line with name, image, and likeness.
Even though this NIL transfer portal and pay for play era, we're in it now, it's still so nebulous and it's still so Wild West and there's still so few guardrails and so many individuals to try to figure out and administer. Like, it's just gonna be a mess.
Well, I've long said, and I stand by this, like, a lot of time, from my bon voyage to whatever, like, you're kind of being fun. I really do mean this, that if I was like Oregon or Ohio State and money really wasn't an issue, maybe this wouldn't necessarily apply to me because I got cash. But if I was Washington, there you go, I'll take Washington.
Okay.
I don't have, so now I got to fork out $20 million in revenue sharing.
Yeah, we started to see how schools are going to break that. Some of them have announced which sports are going to get it, which ones aren't.
So I got to already split that, and now I got to come up with at least probably another $15 million in NIL in theory to keep up with the Joneses. I would not pay for a 5-star quarterback. To get a 5-star quarterback to come to you,
I agree with
that. Or even a high 4-star. So Oregon went after, they got the Beaver kid because they lost out on the Curtis kid to Georgia and they lost out on the
Ryder Lions
to BYU. So let's assume the Carter kid and Lions both cost $2.5 to $3.5 million to get him on campus. Let's say the Beaver kid costs you $2 million maybe to get him to show up. So you're into this for a couple million. And I encourage you, go look back since the transfer portal. Go look at the quarterbacks that have been in the college football playoff. Almost none of them are homegrown.
Yep.
They're all transfers.
Yep.
Oregon's quarterbacks.
Oregon sent 2 of them to the Heisman ceremony.
Yes. And by the way, the one that you're hoping goes to the Heisman Trophy next is from UCLA.
Transfer. Yep.
Like, I think in the playoffs last year, I think the kid from SMU and the kid from Penn State, Aller, and I forget, is it
Kevin Jennings?
Yeah, Jennings. I think they might have been the only two. But like Levitt was a transfer at ASU. Quinn Ewers was a transfer at Texas. Oregon's quarterback obviously was a transfer. I mean, it was just like, it's just transfer. So like you're paying millions of dollars to bring in a kid, and it sure feels like at the end of the day, none of them stick around.
None of them stick around, and it's a huge. It feels like the hit rate on a truly successful young quarterback is almost zero. Like because
Jaden Daniels started at ASU and ends up at LSU.
The position inherently has to develop, and with everyone moving, there isn't a lot of development. So the best quarterbacks are the kids who have played a ton of ball, sometimes for multiple schools, but it's not the kid coming in his first year. It's just not.
I would much rather just go get a couple prospects.
Well, Nemec has talked about this. Like they had, I think they had a big bag for Dante Moore initially before he went to UCLA, and then he didn't take it.
Yeah.
And having that extra money allowed them to go out and apply it to Mateo Uyunglele, who has made a massive impact. And it's that type of position though that can come on campus and be effective right away without like, he's got to go through this learning curve of whatever. Like,
I would go get
and that ended up being a better use of their money, even though that wasn't the intention originally.
I go get some 3-star kids, you know, low 4-star, 3-star kids
Let
that
them
are going to
compete.
cost me $500,000, right? Maybe 250,000, and just be like, hey, you know, you're coming here, and we're always gonna have those kids grow and develop in the pipeline, and then I'm just seeking the transfer portal. When you're Oregon and Ohio State, you can go and get a transfer quarterback. Again, Oregon's gotten 3 of them.
Yeah.
4 of the last years.
And the more you prove it, the more that's going to be a destination for guys like that.
And you know what those kids don't cost? They don't cost $4 million.
They don't cost what you're paying the freshman who hasn't done it before.
And that's I really do think that the worst money to be spent right now in college football is on the 5-star quarterback.
I think that's entirely possible.
I'm trying to think of the last time that the can't miss quarterback came in and was the can't miss quarterback.
Yeah. It's hyper rare, especially that position.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't pan out as often as it should for the amount of money that gets thrown around there.
Yeah,
That's for
as
sure.
I said, it's a terrible investment to me in an ever growing world where you're going to have to be smarter with your money because the money's going to get tighter because it's getting more expensive, and now with the house settlement, you know, there's 20+ million on top of your NIL budget that has to be handed out for every school. Belts are going to have to start getting tight.
I got the Blazers Summer League schedule here. Also have a big new tampon sponsorship in basketball.
It's about time.
Yeah, and a
Dude,
gambling
I would
story.
give anything if the Blazers had a tampon sponsor.
Put it on, maybe the jersey.
Yes,
jersey patch.
Dude, that would be in the city of Portland, having Tampax be the jersey sponsor of the Blaze. I have never bought a Blazer jersey. You throw Vagisil or Tampax on that thing, I'm going out and I'm buying a Blazer jersey tomorrow.
The red one, right?
I love that it makes the
red one, right?
Yes.
I love that it makes the garment more desirable.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, we'll discuss it next. You're listening to Primetime, 1080 The Fan.
It's
Isachi. Take off your shorts and dunk me.
Been a little light on the drops today, and for that I apologize. I've messed around with a rod. Damn it, Will.
We do have that new one.
We do have a new one,
Well,
and it makes me sad.
Buck likes to mess around with rods. That happens. I mean, who hasn't
Fly fishing.
Who hasn't experimented, right? It's probably in college. You were young, maybe a little confused, trying to figure out some hobbies. I understand.
This is a trap. I feel compelled to comment on this. I think I'll just dig my hole deeper. So
Keep
we're just
going.
gonna.
You'll be all right.
No, I think we're good.
Don't take the bait.
Hey, we have a tampon sponsorship in pro sports.
Damn right we do. It's not the Blazers, though. I'm so disappointed.
It's not the Blazers. No, this comes via the WNBA, where sequel spiral tampons have become the official
My favorite tampon, by the way.
tampon partner of the Indiana Fever. And complimentary sequel spiral tampon products will be made available in the team's locker room and throughout the Gainbridge Fieldhouse restrooms. So you can now get your free sanitary hygiene from the company that's bought this affiliation and sponsorship. Now, I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, like we've been doing like tough actin, tenactin for athlete's foot forever, and
well, what we need the official jock itch cream of the Portland Trailblazers.
yeah. Well, they
We
did
need
BioFreeze for a while.
Two
I know it's not
fingers
jock
of the
itch, but-
patented oily bomb is all you need.
Yeah.
And they'll take care of that. Yes. We can get the Yonger out there hawking some jock itch.
Ooh.
You got 7'2" Chinese jock itch. There's only one product tough enough. Tough actin, tenactin.
You know, if there's any city in the NBA that could be like the proud sponsor of the official tampons of the NBA, it would be Portland.
That's what I'm saying.
They would take on that sponsorship.
Dude,
Is the money still green?
I am telling you right now that if you put Vagisil or Tampax on the Blazers jersey, that would be the most popular sponsor. Because who is the Blazer jersey sponsor right now?
Oh,
Do we even know?
It was BioFreeze.
BioFreeze was for a while.
I'm trying to remember who it is now because off the top of my head, I do not recall. But you're quickly Googling, and so you're gonna have
Bright
this-
Side Windows.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Okay, the fact that we don't even know. Bright Side window. There's only one window here, and
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
Window
Window
Nation.
Daddy.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Window Nation, the Nation. No one has ever bought a Blazer jersey thinking,
Hey,
"Oh,
it's
I
your
need to get
window, daddy.
I need to get the new one with bright side windows." But you're telling me, Will, you're a young man.
Yes.
You're telling me that wouldn't instantly become a hipster thing that your friends would want to buy if Vagisil was on the Blazer jersey.
Dude, we all want the Fears Zero jersey right now because it's zero fears.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
there's clout.
The Red Wings have a garbage company sponsor. It's like a
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, it's like a garbage warehouser or
Waste
not warehouser.
management or something.
Yeah,
like
waste management.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, yeah.
that. Lame. No, they start getting some edgy. Like someone when the Timbers had their jersey canceled because there was like the controversy with DeBella.
Yeah.
Someone-
DeBella, that's right.
Because like on soccer jerseys, the sponsor is the main.
That's the main part.
And then there's like a little crest.
Yep.
It's like it's inverted. It's reversed. Someone online made up a Mary's.
Oh, nice.
A Timbers jersey with the Mary's logo, the girl on the pole. Dude.
It would work.
And I said, if that jersey was real, I would again, never bought a Timbers jerseys in my life. I would 100% buy a Timbers jersey if it was sponsored by Mary's. We need to start thinking outside of the box. The Indiana Fever and Secret Spiral, what was it?
Secret Spiral tampons.
Secret Spiral tampons. Let's go. Although that's not the jersey sponsor.
Not that I'm aware of. They're just the official tampon partner of the
Well,
Fever.
I want an official. Can we get an official tampon partner of Primetime?
Sure.
I will do. You want to talk about
Tampons.
live reads? Because we don't do many like live reads. I think we do. I think the only one we really have anymore is the Advocates. I used to do
Yeah.
Vancouver Forward.
Well, and Isaac does Window Nation.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, so we have Window Nation and we have the Advocates. I don't do Vancouver Forward anymore. I'll tell you right now, a feminine hygiene product. You want to get your money's worth on a radio sponsorship. You make me the official spokesman of tampons. I will sell the hell out of tampons on live reads
Now,
on this show every day.
Could you sit here and peddle douches?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Might not be the audience they want to hit.
Perhaps not.
Why not? We can go home and your husband. Imagine the husband coming home and be like, "Honey, no. We need the spiral tampons."
We need the one with Sook's face on
That's
it and two
right.
thumbs up.
I could just see these Indiana housewives giving their husband the eye roll when he comes back with the store list, and it's like, honey, these aren't the Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham tampons. Okay.
I only want the Indiana Fever tampons. Yes. Caitlin Clark's face is on the tampon. Let's go. Let's get excited.
Their face is on the box. No, it's on the tampon.
We support Tres Leches here.
In the club tonight, we will talk about the top 100 movies of this quarter century as voted on by the film community.
I am excited about this. I'm interested because you're getting rid of the, because they always do like the Citizen Kane and
Sure.
Gone with the Wind.
So it's everything from 2000 forward.
Yes, 2000 forward. I am very intrigued to see what their number one movie will be.
Yeah. I will say I saw this movie. I liked this movie. I was surprised it was voted the best of the last 25 years. We'll get to that. Plus, an athlete and an actress hot meet at a Bezos wedding. Is the internet about to explode? Maybe. That's next on The Fan.
Do you owe $10,000?
Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, things are going well so far in Arlington for the Mariners. Top of the fourth right now. That game is 3-1 Seattle up. Jorge Polanco's got a couple of RBIs in this one. Randy Arozarena also had an RBI in the third inning, scoring Julio Rodriguez. So far, Mariners doing pretty well up to bat right now. In the 8th spot, Ben Williamson. Elsewhere in the NBA, the Blazers' first-round pick Yong Hansen was introduced to the media today in his introductory press conference with the team. Hansen was a first-team All-CBA selection last year in the Chinese Basketball Association. And it does sound like Ace Bailey is going to report to Utah for Jazz basketball practice and camp before they head to Las Vegas for the Summer League. Bailey went through an abnormal draft process where he opted not to visit and work out with a single NBA team. He was the only American to do so. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work. Insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite.
Bye, bitch. I've never seen so much dong in my life.
And it makes me sad.
Because this bitch is behind maintenance.
And it makes me sad.
She won't even return his calls, you freaking bitch! What is up with that?
And it makes me sad.
I'm gonna kick your ass, you little bitch.
And it makes me sad.
Pop me up over there, bitch.
And it makes me sad.
I'm gonna show you my boots.
And it makes me sad.
They all suck balls.
And it makes me sad.
Keeping that sweet $8 in our pants.
Welcome back to Primetime. It's the club. We're watching some baseball.
Yeah, the
Your Mets are getting pounded by the
they
Pirates.
were getting violated by the Paul Skenes Pirates. It's one thing if like Skenes beat you. We're losing 8-1 to this bunch of jabrokes.
I look at the matchups almost every day in Major League Baseball, and I'm pretty sure that the starting pitcher for the Pirates tonight had a better ERA than the Mets starter, but a 1-10 record.
Is it Keller?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has one less quality start than Skeens. His ERA, if Skeens is 2.12, I believe his is like 2.4.
Yeah.
1-10 on the year. Unbelievable.
1-10 with a 2.4 ERA.
It's not going to be 1-10
Really
runs.
tough
He
to
just
do.
went 7 innings and gave up 1 run to the freaking first place New York Mets.
Well, before we get to the top 100 movies of this quarter century, and before we get to the most promiscuous nations on our planet, according to numbers of sexual partners, the wedding of the year going on right now. I think it's this weekend in Venice, or maybe it was last weekend. I think it's this weekend. Everyone's arriving.
Yeah, because I keep seeing all the buzz about it and the cost. Like, people are estimating the cost, which, by the way, everyone's freaking out about it. I think for Bezos, I think it seems pretty reasonable. They're saying it's like somewhere to the tune of like 50 to 60 million bucks, which
For Jeff Bezos to be able to take over the city of Venice, which is wonderfully romantic. And now, you talked about this in your travels to Italy and into other places. Like, the Italians are pissed. They don't want people doing this. The ones that live there don't like this. But you know what? They'll take the money. And they have decided to take this Jeff Bezos money where he has basically just rented out
Venice.
a whole city for the weekend or for the week.
So I'm saying, with your new weird plastic surgery face wife.
Yeah. Something Sanchez. Lauren Sanchez?
Lauren Sanchez. I don't know how much of that 60 million went into her face, but apparently a lot of it.
Seems like it.
But I would think that dude's worth like $300 billion or whatever. Dare I say 60 million for a wedding?
It's kind of a good deal.
I think it's fairly reasonable.
It could be more expensive than it is. I don't know that you can call it modest because you're still taking over the city of Venice. But for his checkbook,
yes,
yeah.
Well, I saw a thing a while ago. Do you know what the average cost of the United States wedding is?
Ooh, I'm gonna go.
This is average, by the way.
I'm gonna go $45,000.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It's between $38,000 and $45,000.
We were trying to keep ours to 10 and it didn't happen.
Right?
Yeah.
Will, does that depress you, by the way?
No. I just get more and more depressed as I get older because I know it's going to be that much more expensive.
Yeah. Say the average cost per guest now is right around $300. To have someone come to your wedding that you don't particularly care for, $300. So, dare I say, to the person we'll do a combined salary, okay? We're not going to go extravagant. So like a teacher, we'll take a teacher, because a teacher can make what, 75, 85,000. You've been teaching for a while.
Depends what state.
Okay,
If you're in Washington, go a little north.
Okay, all right. Oh, even better. So we're saying we'll go like 85, 90 grand.
Sure.
So nice, and then you got someone else that, I don't know. Let's say they work for the city, and they're making 72. Okay, nice city contracted employee making 72. So combined, you're making $165, $170, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Which is worse? Which is more egregious? Someone spending we'll even go below the average, 35. We'll go $35,000 on a wedding for a couple that makes 100 and whatever, 170,000, or Jeff Bezos, who's worth, I gotta look it up, but I believe it's right
around $300 billion. Like
$300 billion, and he dropped 60. Dare I say, right here and now, Jeff Bezos more reasonable at $60 million than it is on someone spending 30. Because you said you did not keep yours to 10.
No, we did not.
Yeah. And I won't ask you how much you spend, but I'm guessing by the sound of it, you didn't come close to 10.
No. It was not close to 10.
It was
Also,
not close
what
to
year?
10.
For me?
Yeah,
2019.
Oh, okay. So
Just right pre-pandemic.
I was gonna say,
it was like a year before.
my brother and sister-in-law's wedding. I don't know the exact sticker price, but it hurt my soul.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And
by the way, Jeff Bezos, I'm sorry, Jeff. He's only worth $230 billion. So maybe he really needs to, but that's my point. Like, you got to tighten your belt. 60 million to him? Dude, he wipes his arse with 60 million. I bet you he makes and loses that 10 times over in a single day. But to the average schmuck out there that drops 30, that's the one that's obscene. I think Bezos is being reasonable.
Listen to this. This article was published about a year ago. In 2023, Jeff Bezos made approximately $7.9 million per hour. That's a day's work for your wedding.
Exactly.
It's
a day.
It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
I mean, because what you were talking about, the scenario you're talking about is a combined income of maybe a quarter of your salary.
Yes.
This is 1 day's worth of work for him.
1 day. Dare I say, Jeff Bezos at his wedding.
Getting a deal.
Absolute steal of a deal. Everyone criticizing him. Nay, that may be the most risky. He might as well elope. He's basically having this wedding for free. That's what he's doing. So kudos to you, Jeff Bezos. I'm going to tell the BTJ this when eventually she pressures me and puts a gun to my head. I'll be like, hey, you know what? We can have a Bezos-like wedding. Because I can tell her, Jeff Bezos spent what he makes in 1 day on a wedding. Therefore, can break down our salaries, and that's what we can spend. Imagine if everyone took what they made in a day, and you said that's what you could spend on your wedding. That is the financial responsibility that Jeff Bezos is putting out there.
I've now found an itinerary for the wedding weekend.
I bet it's pretty kick-ass.
On Thursday, so yesterday, there was a reception in the cloister of the Madonna dell'Orta, a 14th century brick cloister attached to the church of the same name. It's one of Venice's most important church complexes that houses the remains of Renaissance painter Tintoretto.
Oh, I've been. We were there. By the way, he rented out that whole place.
Well, at least he didn't rent out the entire church. He rented out the little side building on it or something like that.
Because that place is enormous.
Today, the wedding ceremony on San Giorgio Island, home to a monumental complex designed by 16th century architect Andrea Palladio, and which features an iconic bell tower that is the fixture of the Venetian skyline. The island, once home to a Benedictine abbey, features manicured gardens, an outdoor amphitheater, a private marina, and the Gorgini Foundation dedicated to preserving the island's treasures. Then they have another reception on Saturday in Arsenale, a massive brick complex known today as one of the main venues at the cultural festival there in Venice from the 12th century until World War I. It was the heart of the Venetian naval industry with shipyards and armories. So this is a big event.
I was there as well, because you can see where, when we did the tour of Venice, they took us to the old armory and stuff, and that's pretty kick-ass.
But as you'd imagine, some celebs attending. They have tried to keep the guest list very tight-lipped, but we know for sure of a few people who are in attendance, including Oprah Winfrey, the newly single Orlando Bloom, who just broke up with Katy Perry. And then there are two people who are... One person we have confirmed is in attendance, one rumored to be in attendance that this person is with. Tom Brady has showed up. And so,
Makes sense.
I mean, powerful athlete. He knows Bezos. They're friends. Apparently,
I'll bet you going to the Bezos wedding is kick. You imagine, like, I'm sorry, if you have the opportunity to go to a Jeff Bezos wedding, you go to that wedding.
And the whole city is yours.
Well, can you imagine, like, the care that you're gonna get? Like, you go to that. You 100% go to that.
But apparently, Tom has been seen yucking it up with the newly single Sydney Sweeney.
Oh, goodness, that will officially break the internet.
Tom Brady, Sydney Sweeney could break the internet.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Tom Brady and Sydney Sweeney. First off, that's a devastatingly handsome couple.
Sure is. 20-year age difference, 47 and 27.
You know, in celebrity terms, that's actually
pretty normal.
Very, very reasonable.
She's too young for him.
What's it? The take your age, divide by 2, and add 7 is like the rule of thumb.
Yes.
Doesn't qualify here, but
yeah, but the richer you get, it doesn't matter.
That rule flexes.
I think for every Super Bowl ring, it shaves off 5 years.
I'm
Therefore,
sure it does.
Tom Brady could marry like an 8-year-old, and it would be okay because it's Tom Brady.
Look for someone your own age, Sydney.
So if
27-year-olds are out there.
Maybe a hot, svelte radio producer.
27-year-olds are out there. Stay with the 27-year-old, Sydney.
Now, if you could, I was trying to think, like, because he rented out Venice.
Yeah.
If you had Jeff Bezos money, where would you want to get married?
Yeah. What other cities would be really cool?
Or just like I was just thinking, like venues.
Yeah. So one of the places that I was like, I thought some of the sites in Kyoto were amazing, and we went to that like Golden Temple place where there's like botanical gardens and stuff. Yeah. You could do a kick-ass ceremony in like these ancient Japanese gardens with the temples there. That could be pretty cool.
That would be
for like
cool.
a setting standpoint.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of like what would be like the most like, and it's probably been done a million times over, but like there's some amazing old castles like in Scotland and Ireland.
Yeah. Even in Italy, there's old castles.
Yeah. That I prefer. I prefer my northern brethren to my Italians. The idea of getting married, like in some castle in Ireland that's several thousand years old, or like when we were in Bali, there's like a 2,000-year-old Buddhist water temple that's like dug into the side of the cliff. It's like one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Like if you had enough, and like I don't know, I suppose if you have enough money, you can rent.
There's
out
probably
any
a price.
Yeah. It's just like you have an unlimited budget to do something like that.
I like the first place my mind goes is like what the photos would look like,
exactly,
and just like what the scene would look like. So
Everest,
and I wasn't thinking necessarily Everest, but like Swiss Alps. Like you could find somewhere like in the countryside with like the mountains all around you.
The
that
hills
would look
are alive with the sound of Buckley.
Yeah,
hear me out. 50-yard line. The big house.
I thought you were going to say the Hooters Casino in Las Vegas.
Oh, no, I'm never going back there.
The idea of, and that's the thing, like there's probably a lot of people that think getting married at like Fenway Park would be cool. Boy, if you want to talk about like Arrested Development, like you getting married at a sports
or like
venue.
the dude who pops the question at the NFL preseason game, and you're like,
yeah, like really, man?
The NFL draft.
Of all the places.
Wasn't there a proposal this year at the NFL draft?
I pick you with my first pick, babe.
Don't. She doesn't want that. I promise you, she might even be a Cleveland Browns fan. She doesn't want that.
No, she doesn't want that. Although, there's probably some people that is like, I went to a wedding once where everyone was dressed in camo and there was crossbows involved.
Nice.
You're like,
I might be going to one of those this year.
Yeah, you're like, to each, some swamp people, you're like, hey, man, to each their own. An Eastern Oregon crab feed wedding. I mean, yeah,
now you're talking.
You do a lot of stuff. I just, the idea of having an unlimited budget. I mean, because I said if you could, when I went to Venice, if you got rid of the people, that would be the most romantic place on earth. And when you're Jeff Bezos, you can probably get rid of all the people and rent out an entire city. Like if I could rent out New Orleans.
Oh. Boy, you could have some fun there.
That would be pretty cool. You just rent out.
I don't know enough people to rent out New Orleans and be able to use it all.
Yeah, but like when you have that kind of money, you could kind of pick and choose.
Sure.
Renting out the French Quarter would.
Yeah, that would be
pretty cool.
rad.
Yeah.
Now I got the wheels turning. We'll come back. Give us some of your best if money were no object wedding venues. We'll continue to kick that around. But what we have to get to next, the top 100 movies of this last quarter century. Over 500 people from the Hollywood film industry have voted on it. They've all given their top 10, and now we have our comprehensive ranking list. That's coming up in the club on the Fan.
Isaac and Souk is brought to you by Pub Beer, the official beer of Cheap Fun.
Double sun power!
We were discussing.
Oh my God, it's corn!
We were discussing wedding costs, and I can't wait for Will's future bride to hear about his wedding plans because it's going to be fantastic.
We're going to elope.
I want you to hold all that conversation you have and just play that for your future bride when you guys decide to get married and see how many of those wonderful ideas come to fruition.
You're going to have to frame it as minimalist, and something about that's going to have to be romantic and sexy.
We're going to elope and then have a great party after. This is a
Keep
great
telling yourself
idea.
that, Will. Keep telling
Yes.
yourself that. Marry rich, my friend. Marry rich.
Trying.
Let's talk movies. The New York Times has come out with the list of the top 100 movies of this quarter century. So everything from the year 2000 on.
Okay.
They said to identify the definitive films of the 21st century, they polled more than 500 of the world's most influential directors, actors, and critics. Each of these people was asked to name the 10 best movies released since January 1st, 2000, and then their votes were compiled. They were given points, all that, and it gives us this list of 100. So
Sure.
I don't think we need to go through the whole list, but we can start at the bottom and just mention some notables here.
Sure.
At 100, Superbad.
Really?
Yeah.
Where do I find this? I want to pull up this
So
list, 'cause I was trying to do suspense, but if we're not going to do the whole list.
If you just search New York Times top 100 movies, there's a bunch of websites that have put it out there. Theirs is, if you go to their actual link, it's more of like a list where you have to scroll. I can also send you the link of the short list here. So
I'm interested to see what they what they came up
at 98, you've got Grizzly Man. The guy who the documentary, the dude who befriended the Grizzlies and then got eaten.
That is a good documentary, but I mean,
never saw it.
It's worth watching if you want to see an idiot his final moments before he dies. But that's kind of silly to say that is. I mean, there are so many good movies. The idea that because it's not really that interesting, other than there's a moron that manages to survive when he shouldn't for a couple years and then he gets eaten.
And Superbad is way better than that, by the way.
And there's no like I said, there wasn't a real basis. They didn't have criteria. They just said to name the 10 best movies over those 25 years. So some people named Superbad.
Yeah.
We got Grizzly Man. 96, you've got Black Panther.
Okay, again. Like, really?
And then this is the first one I'm like, I can't believe that wasn't higher. 92, Gladiator, Ridley Scott.
Yeah, Gladiator.
I mean, I think it probably is worthy of a top 100.
Yes.
Then you start to, so let's see, we get Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring at 87.
Now, Lord of the Rings Fellowship, like that's
iconic.
That's one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah.
Like the idea that is kind of being put around, is being put around Grizzly Man and Black Panther.
Yeah.
Come on.
Anchorman at 85.
Okay. Again, I could see it like goes back to like same thing with Superbad. Just because it's a silly movie doesn't mean that it's not iconic. Anchorman will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Anchorman will be one of those that will, I mean, generations will. Oh, Ron Burgundy is everyone knows Ron Burgundy.
The character's iconic.
Yes.
The one-liners are iconic.
Yes.
I agree with that. I do think Superbad is better, though. Like, if you just look at the amount of actors' careers that got launched, not saying that Anchorman didn't, and
I would
not
agree with you.
poo-pooing Anchorman, I just think Superbad is more relatable, like, to a degree.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree with all of that. Number 76, we have Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Quirky comedy from the Coen brothers.
Sure.
We get our first animated film at 73 with Ratatouille.
Yeah, again, it's. I mean, you're down in the 70s. Some of these, again, it's all. It's hard to put, but like Amour, if you haven't seen that, like that's a great movie. It's a really sad movie, but the idea that Ratatouille in that, I guess again, it takes all kinds. Ocean's 11 at 71. Ocean's 11 is a fantastic movie.
Perfect heist movie.
It's a perfect heist movie. Very, very good. The sequels after that, but Ocean's 11, amazing.
In the 60s, you have a lot of variety. 68, The Hurt Locker. 65, Oppenheimer. 64, Gone Girl.
All very good.
63, Little Miss Sunshine. 62, Memento. 61, Kill Bill Volume 1. 60, Whiplash.
That is a great stretch. In fact, so far from what we've seen,
that's the best kind of stretch of movies.
That's the best stretch
as far as entertainment,
there.
I think.
Yeah, because even Spotlight's in there. Yeah, those are really, really all good movies that you should see. I would recommend every one of those. And did you mention Memento?
I did mention Memento. Yeah.
Memento with Christopher Nolan. Again, if you haven't seen it, go see it.
Yeah, that was early Christopher Nolan and really good.
Christopher Nolan is one of those guys that when he makes something, you should just watch it.
He also had Interstellar, which is pretty controversial as to whether it's great or whether it's just crazy Christopher Nolan. That was down at 89. You get the Adam Sandler drama Uncut Gems at 58.
Very good.
Fantastic underrated comedy Best in Show at 57. If you haven't seen Best in Show about dogs and their owners, so good.
Christopher Guest making it. So he's obviously Spinal Tap, Waiting for Guffman.
Yep.
Same actors, Eugene Levy. Those are just, you'll either get those movies or you won't.
Then let's see. At 55, you get Inception, more Christopher Nolan.
Love Inception.
53, this is interesting, and I think this is here just because of the format and how different it was. 53 is Borat.
Sure. Borat is much like Superbad and Anchorman.
Kind of the first of its kind and really unique.
Yeah, it'll stand the test of time.
My wife.
It spawned a universal character. It became cultural.
Yep.
It became part of pop culture. 47 to me is criminally underrated because I think this is a perfect movie.
Yep.
Almost Famous. If Almost Famous to me, if I had to put together a list of maybe not my, I'm not gonna say they're my 10 favorite movies, but movies that I think are perfect. Like I can't pick any part of Almost Famous.
It's
apart.
incredible.
From every casting decision, every actor, every music,
all the scenes mattered.
All the scenes. Almost Famous to me is and it's Cameron Crowe. And by the way, it's loosely based on Cameron Crowe's life. He was the main character.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I didn't. I've seen that movie like a dozen times, and I did not know that about
Cameron Crowe. Got a job writing for Rolling Stone when he was in the 10th grade.
He was the one calling back to Ben Fong Torres, huh?
Yes, all that stuff it's loosely based on his experience. And
Crazy.
Stillwater is it's an amalgamation, but it's the Allman Brothers.
Okay.
So the character Russell and all that.
They represent.
It represents the
band.
Allman Brothers.
Interesting.
And so yes, that is a loose. There is an amazing podcast they did. It's like a 6-part podcast about the whatever it was, the 25th or anniversary of Almost Famous, where Cameron Crowe talks about his life, and I can't speak enough good things about Almost Famous.
If you haven't seen that movie, that is an all-time classic. If you like music, if you like time period piece, it's like what's it, 70s? It's fantastic.
Yes.
We are now inside of the top 50 of this list. Let's take a quick break, and we will continue to revisit and see what is up near the top. But first, we'll toss it over to Ortner, who has a SportsCenter update.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Minnesota Timberwolves and Naz Reid have agreed to a 5-year, $125 million contract that's going to keep him with the franchise. It does include a player option. That news is still breaking from ESPN's Shams Charania. Right now in Arlington, the Mariners are up 4-1 on the Rangers. It is the bottom of the 5th. There are 2 outs right now. Julio Rodriguez in the 4th. He had a fielder's choice to the shortstop. Ben Williamson was able to score on that one. For those of you keeping score at home, so far in this game, Cal Raleigh has been intentionally walked in 2 of his 3 at-bats. The other one, he was accidentally walked. He has 3 walks on the day, 2 of them intentional, all before the 4th inning. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new
can go and use sex doll from here out.
We think Rupp will be back on Monday. At least that's the likely thing here. We are thinking about the Rupp family today, out for some family business. And right now we're going through our top 100 films of this quarter century, a list published by the New York Times based on over 500 votes or ballots from filmmakers all around the world. So we're inside the top 50. We just discussed Almost Famous at 47. We get a sports movie at 45, and I guess I'm kind of surprised it's this one. Moneyball comes in at 45.
Yeah,
I liked it. It was a good movie.
Moneyball's good. I wouldn't think of it as a top 50 movie, but
And I'm trying to think of what other sports movies have been made in the last 25 years that I might put over it. Like I'm trying to remember if Cinderella Man was pre or after 2000. I thought that was a great flick. As a sports movie, I loved Miracle. I think it came out early 2000s.
Miracle was really well done.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that
For Love of the Game, I don't know if that was. In the
yeah,
last
that's
25
right.
years,
That's right around there, I think. But you're missing a lot of the classics, obviously.
Yeah, Moneyball's good. Again, I just wouldn't. If you ask me, is Moneyball a top 50 movie of any time?
Right, of the last 25 years.
I would say no.
I wouldn't think so.
It was okay, but I just don't think of it that way.
I think when you combine Sorkin writing and directing, you have Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill was pretty freaking awesome in it. I think that gets built up. A lot of the younger generations really like it.
And remember too that when you're dealing with insiders, like, because this is filmmakers, there's going to be a lot of. It's not about what necessarily people thought was a great movie. Filmmakers love
people who achieved something or did something different, or like that's why Borat's on this list. It's like it was the only film like that when it came out, and it was different and memorable and all that.
Because can I look through the top 10? Trust me, that top 10 specifically comes from.
Yeah,
it comes.
You can see how these people vote.
It is an industry insider sort of thing that voted like here in the top 10.
Because once you start getting inside the top 40, you start getting really artistic.
Yes.
A movie called...
By the way, 44, one above Moneyball. It might be Quentin Tarantino's best work, in my opinion. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is... It's just... Brad Pitt, by the way, goes back-to-back, 45 and 44.
That's right.
Take your pick. I mean, I love Tarantino. I love everything he's done. And I'd probably go back and forth between... Inglourious Bastards and Once Upon a Time.
Inglourious Bastards is still coming on this list. Not listed yet, but will be ahead of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is really, really good.
So some of these artistic ones that you've got coming through in the top 40, you've got Yee Yee, which I've never heard of at 40. Lady Bird, I saw it.
Yeah.
Indie, artistic,
fine. And it was up for awards. That is the definition of the indie insider movie that you'll watch once and you'll never watch again.
I've never heard of Portrait of a Lady on Fire. That's 38. I have heard of Call Me By Your Name only because it was nominated for a bunch of Oscars but never saw it. I saw A Serious Man. I like Coen Brothers. I didn't care for that movie.
Yeah, Call Me By Your Name, again, is a movie that you will watch once and then you will never watch. It's a coming of age, like, you know, it's one of those. It's an industry movie.
I don't know what A Prophet is at 35.
Don't know.
I have seen Wall-E at 34.
Wall-E's really good.
Really, and it's kind of odd because it's like dystopian and it's different.
Wall-E's great though.
But then I was stunned that this comedy made it this high. 32 Bridesmaids.
Yeah.
Like really?
Again, I go.
It was entertaining.
It was one of the
it's not better than those other comedies we've already talked about.
Again, it's a genre-defining movie because it's an all-female ensemble cast, and it absolutely slayed and killed.
Yep.
And it was. I'm trying to think of another movie that was entirely because there's always the crap out there that women can't be funny, women can't lead a comedy. And Bridesmaids,
groundbreaking from that standpoint.
Bridesmaids was 100% was women, and it absolutely crushed. Bridesmaid was huge.
Yep. Let's see.
Lost in Translation.
Well,
phenomenal.
and a movie that I would have in my top 10 or maybe even top 5, The Departed at 31.
Yeah.
I love. To me, that's a perfect cops and robbers movie.
Yep.
You said Lost in Translation's at 30. You get The Dark Knight at 28.
I think a lot of people, if you were to ask, I think that someone even said The Dark Knight better be in their top 10 on the text.
Yep.
The Dark Knight I think for a lot of people is probably the best of the superhero genre movies.
It's a great trilogy just in general.
Yes.
Like each one you can make the argument. Now I think most people go with number 2.
Well, and that's because
but each one gets better.
Heath Ledger's performance was transcendent in that.
Right.
It was right before his death.
The Dark Knight is going to be one of those that again will stand the test of time, and it's very it's rewatchable.
You get
unlike some of the no offense to again Call Me by Your Name, you're never going to watch that movie again. The Dark Knight will be watched 20 years from now. People will still be watching Heath Ledger.
Number 24 is a movie that I think is worth watching again right now. It's called Her with Joaquin Phoenix, Spike
Very
Jonze,
good.
and if you don't know it,
it's relevant
It's
today.
it's basically about AI, and everyone in society is walking around with an earpiece that has an AI companion, and people are falling in love with or having best friend relationships with this, and it's a fictionalized look at something we're now just on the precipice of like getting into, of like relying on the AI and the machines to give us like human comfort.
And it's kind of sad.
Yeah,
I mean,
very much so.
Yeah, when you realize that your only friend is.
I haven't seen it since around the time it came out. I would go back and watch that one just because of where we are now. Boyhood is 23. That's an achievement one. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, and again, I didn't think it was very good, but it was filmed over years,
like 14 years or something.
Because it's about one kid growing up, and they use the same boy, and so it's filmed over many years, and it's Ethan Hawke, and
it is a crazy undertaking of a project. Like as far as like film achievement, that one was lauded, not because it's like the greatest thing to sit down and watch for 2 hours, but what they did to accomplish it, not using a young kid actor than an older kid actor,
same kid,
like for an over a decade stretch. That was really impressive.
I'd say you could watch it, but again, it's one of those you'll never watch it again.
And if that's not your type of thing, then you can just pass it. But Grand Budapest Hotel is kind of quirky. Wes Anderson.
I love Wes Anderson,
Yep.
and he goes back to back. Grand Budapest Hotel is really good, but my favorite Wes Anderson movie of all time, and that's saying something because there's so many good ones. I love all of his films. The Royal Tenenbaums at 21. I love the Royal Tenenbaums, but it's controversial because I know some people that I've shown that to that hate it. Because if you don't understand Wes Anderson, you won't like any of his movies, but especially the Royal Tenenbaums. But Gene Hackman, that to me is as good as Gene Hackman has ever been, and it's an amazing cast. I love the Royal Tenenbaums.
I have never seen the Royal Tenenbaums.
Really?
And I've heard. I think it would be up my alley. It's definitely on my list. When I see it next, I will check it out.
It's very weird. It's very quirky.
And I do like Wes Anderson movies.
Narrated.
I love
It's really good.
At number 20, this was maybe a little bit of an upset for me because I thought there was a lot of shock value. You had you had a big name, but The Wolf of Wall Street comes in at number 20. That was a really fun and entertaining watch.
That may be the broiest movie of all time.
We like it.
Jordan Belfort, who's the guy that it's based on, he's a real guy.
Yeah.
He often is like, he is blown away because everyone loves him. And he's like, dude, that's not the point of the movie. I was the worst human being on the planet for like 2 decades, and yet
he gets idolized, and he's like, no, it's the opposite of that.
That movie is going to go up in rankings as my age group of people come up and get older and are actually started voting on this. I know so many of my buddies or people I went to high school with, college with, they watched that.
That's a good call.
And they said, I can't wait to be a Wall Street bro. Yeah. I think it's partially why the Robin Hood stuff was going on with GameStop.
Yeah.
Because all of them were like, I'm going to invest in money, I'm going to get rich, and I'm going to start doing all the different things that Jordan was doing.
This is our Scarface that everyone wanted to be Tony Montana. Say hello to my little friend. This is the modern day Scarface.
So we're inside the top 20. At 19, we have Zodiac. 18, Y Tu Mama Tambien, which is really highly regarded. I think it won Best Picture in the early 2000s, but I've never seen it.
I don't know that one.
Brokeback Mountain at 17.
Again, this goes back to
Ledger.
Yeah, well, and it's an industry film because it was one of the first ones that dealt with homosexuality.
It was edgy from that perspective.
Go back and watch Brokeback Mountain. It doesn't hold up.
It's fine.
It actually, when you watch it again, I saw it maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, oh. I went back. To me, it doesn't hold up at all. It comes across as very cheesy and very poorly written, and it actually almost seems to me now almost insulting. Like it's an agenda movie.
Yeah.
There's lines in there that are clear. It's an agenda movie, and to me it doesn't hold up.
Now, another Ang Lee movie, that was the director of Brokeback Mountain. Much different film at 16, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Holds up as good as anything. One of the best kung fu, and to call it just a kung fu movie is a disservice. That is an amazing work of art.
It won a bazillion awards.
Some of the fight scenes in that, and just that is a visual masterpiece.
15 is City of God.
That's really good too.
Yeah,
that's a Brazilian movie. But
is it about child trafficking? I can't remember. Like I've seen it. It's been a long time.
No, it's about the rise of kind of like the favela gangs. Like
that's right. It's gang culture.
It's gang culture.
Okay. At 14, you have Inglourious Bastards, and I got no issue with that. I love that film. You could put it higher for me on this list.
Maybe the best performance I've ever seen in a movie.
Christoph Waltz. So good. And wasn't that essentially, I mean, I know he was an actor before that movie. That was kind of his coming out party.
Yes.
Like people didn't know him before that, and then
I listened to Tarantino's book on film, and he was talking about actors and just quintessential performances, and he said he wrote Inglourious Bastards and he was getting ready to tear up the script because he didn't think he could find a character to play Hans Landa, and he said that was the whole movie, and he said if he couldn't find that guy,
the right one, then it's not worth it.
Then it wasn't worth it. He's one of those weird guys that's like he's not going to do it with a half-ass thing. And he said he considered for a while just trashing the script, and then he found Christopher Waltz, and he was like, nope, found him. And if you watch that movie, find me. I mean, like Heath Ledger and there's a handful of Danny Day-Lewis. There Will Be Blood was one of those. Or Gangs of New York. Bob the Butcher. He's done a lot of stuff.
Even at 25 was A Phantom Thread, which was another Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah. Hannibal Lecter, right? Like there's just some you watch and you're like, you are seeing the best acting you will ever see. I could make a strong case in my mind that is the greatest acting performance in movie history, with him playing Hans Landa, who is the most despicable character.
That opening scene with the kids under the floor and
incredible.
asking for milk, like the tension was so good. He was perfect.
You have never seen a character that is worse that you will love, and you don't want to love him, but you have no choice to because he's that good.
So at 13, Children of Men. At 12, The Zone of Interest.
I've never seen The Zone of Interest. Children of Men is good. That's the Clive Owen. It's like a dystopian.
And I'm aware of it, but I haven't seen it.
No one can have kids.
Okay.
And then a couple. Anyway, Children of Men is worth giving a poke to. Again, it wouldn't be 13 on my list, but it's a good movie.
And then wouldn't be 11 on my list, but wildly entertaining, Mad Max Fury Road.
This is one that I don't get. It was fine.
It was a fun action
movie. Tom Hardy's great. The dude that's like hanging from the car, like playing guitar, that guy's awesome. But I see this on top 10 lists all the time.
Seems like a very trendy choice.
And boy, I do not get it at all. It is that is, and for a movie that I like, that
feels
is
too high.
Always the most baffling. Like top 10 movie that I see on lists.
We've got the top 10 remaining. We will do that as we wrap up the show next on The Fan.
Check out
All right, so we only have a couple of these left on the New York Times list of top 100 movies of the quarter century.
I thought the list in general was pretty good and well-rounded.
Solid, yeah.
I think the top 10, I actually have that's probably the biggest problem I have of any of, if you took 20 through 30, 40, I think the top 10 is
very hit and miss for me.
Boy, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
So 10 is The Social Network, which I thought was great. That was a Best Picture nom. I love David Fincher. Jesse Eisenberg was solid. It tells a cool story.
Yeah.
I have no idea what Spirited Away is.
It's a Japanese, it's the Ghibli movies. I don't know if you've seen any of the,
Have not.
we watch them at my house because, Japanese. It's a Japanese animation studio. They make have you ever heard of Ponyo or Totoro or, anyway, it's an animation studio that's extremely popular and Spirited Away is a, I don't know.
Have you seen it? Was it good?
I've seen all of them and we watch them at our house. Again, top 10 movie?
Yeah.
No, but
it's on all these lists usually.
Yeah, that's weird that one of those would be on there.
Number 8, Jordan Peele's Get Out.
Boy, I'll tell you what.
Saw it. It was fine. Not a top 10 movie.
Again, it's a social commentary thing. This is an industry anyway.
7, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That was about writing and being quirky. And
really?
Number 6 is where we get serious. No Country for Old Men.
One of the best movies of all time and could easily crack my top 10 movies of all time.
One of my favorites ever. I remember I saw this movie in the theaters knowing nothing about it. I saw that there was a Coen Brothers movie out, and I went and saw it, and my mind was blown.
It's a perfect movie.
Top 5, Moonlight, which won the Oscar over La La Land.
Don't see it. That movie absolutely sucks.
In the Mood for Love, which I do not know. That appears to be another foreign film.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
There Will Be Blood, the Daniel Day-Lewis. Great acting performance.
Boring as hell.
Then Mulholland Drive.
Fan-freaking
Haven't seen it.
Go see it.
And finally, at number 1, some people are going to bitch about the subtitles, but a perfect movie, Parasite by Bong Joon-ho.
I cannot poke a single hole in Parasite. Get over yourself. Suck it up with the subtitles. Parasite is absolute perfection. You cannot argue with Parasite, one of the best movies ever made.
Go watch a movie this weekend. Go do something fun this weekend. Thanks to Suk for having me in. Thanks to Ortner for doing the heavy lifting. You've been listening to Primetime. We'll be back on Monday, 3 to 7. Good night.
Friendships of space.